The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and Your Sports Network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome into a Wednesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig, digging the Kansas City gear. Crazy finish to their game last night with the Angels. You might say the Angels weren't on the side of the Angels, they were on the side of the Royals.
No, it was pitch. Well, bases loaded, bottom of the ninth. Royals lead by 1. Pitch in the dirt, skips up, hits Salvador Perez, and the shoulder bounces this way. 9 out of 10 times it's a wild pitch. Runner from third scores. So obviously Fletcher breaks from third to try to come home. The ball hits off the hitter's thigh right back to Salvador Perez, who proceeds to pick up the ball, throw it back to third, and tag the runner out. So that's how the game ends.
Yeah, from the producers of Angels in the Outfield, it's Angels in the Plate.
It still took a really good play from our Gold Glove catchers.
Well, yeah, I mean, Salvador Perez is a cannon behind the plate. You don't mess with him. He's almost as good as Roberto Perez. Yeah, that's... I was wondering if you were going to catch that little dig that I had for you. All right, we got lots of stuff to get into. At 1 o'clock, Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek will be checking in. And the RBC golf tournament, the latest
Not
up
Arby's. Not Arby's.
Yeah, not Arby's.
RBC.
Yeah, they're not going to be getting curly fries with their 18 holes of golf.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Oh God, that would be. So we will talk about the RBC coming up this weekend at Hilton Head, South Carolina, and we will also talk about what is going on at Mill Creek, what is turning out to be a really, really nice and profitable spring for the Metro Parks. The weather is outstanding by and large.
Yep, might have to deal with one little dark spot tomorrow with chance of cold weather, but Brian has said before, one day of cold weather doesn't really hurt. It's those stretch of a week that you have to worry about, and I hope we're out of the woods with the week-long stretch of cold weather. So
yeah, I think we're going to be.
Sometimes this is great because sometimes we're in May and we get snow.
Last year we had May, snow in May, and I just looked around and I was like, how the hell does this happen?
If we have to deal with one day every now and then of like low 40s, I'm okay with that.
All right, so we have that to talk about. We got plenty of high school baseball and softball to talk about. And there are some things going on within Major League Baseball and within possibly the National Football League. Something very significant came down in Buffalo, New York yesterday that may or may not have implications for the other 31 teams. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. We have a poll question for today, and I'd love for everyone to take part in this. You can hit us up on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline. Maybe our marketing guru can put the poll question up online and get that straightened out as well. My poll question is real simple. Based on what happened last night with the Indians and the White Sox, a tremendous pitcher's duel that was scoreless through 9 innings. The Indians wound up winning the game in 10 innings, 2-0, taking advantage of that god-awful extra innings rule, which turned out to be a nice thing for the Indians last night. But on the precipice of this, do you prefer, as a baseball fan, to watch a pitcher's duel or a slugfest? Would you rather watch a pitcher's duel, a 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, 3-2 type of game, or a slugfest, 7-6, 8-7? You know the definitions. Hit us up, whether it be on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline at 330-886-0813, or you can check it out online. We'll get the question posted. But I don't think there's a right. I don't think there's a wrong answer, because honestly, you can have a great baseball game, whether it is a pitcher's duel where both starters are out of their mind pitching their ass off, or a slugfest where the pitchers are serving up all kinds of meatballs and runs are being scored. I don't think there is a wrong answer here.
As long as it's a clean baseball game, it's a good baseball game. You stay away from errors. You stay away from, I hate 3-pitch strikeouts. I just feel like if you're in the MLB, you cannot swing and miss 3 times at 3 pitches out of the. That just drives me crazy.
Or take 3 pitches.
Well, yeah, take 3 pitches too. But so I think there's a pitcher's duel that also has some good defensive plays in there. Is a little bit better than a pitcher's duel where the offenses just look so overwhelmed and they can't even touch it. I do like when a pitcher comes in that's really high or really good, or the names being thrown around, just gets shelled. That just.
I knew there was a devious bone in your body. I love it.
Anytime you knock someone off the hill a little.
Oh yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah, and anytime Mariano Rivera got bombed, I enjoyed the hell out of that. Not because I had a vendetta against Mariano Rivera or the fact that he was a member of the Yankees. It's just, I'm with you. If there is a great pitcher on the mound, even Kershaw, who I absolutely love this guy, mainly because I had an opportunity to broadcast his games when he was in AA ball. Even Kershaw, I love watching great pitchers get their ass kicked on occasions. I'm with you on that.
Just to prove that baseball is a sport that can humble you.
I'm with you on that.
You need empirical proof sometimes.
I'm with you on that. You brought up a really good point, and the ultimate caveat in what we're talking about. As long as the game is being played clean defensively, where nobody's throwing the ball all over the ball yard, nobody's dropping fly balls or having a ground ball go through the wickets, as long as it's a clean game defensively, I'm good either way. If a team gets a walk-off 11-9 win, that could be a great game. But last night might have been the best April game I've ever seen. Bieber and Giolito were just impeccable last night.
Ooh, big word.
Yeah, they were impeccable.
Impeccable.
Yeah.
Which does not mean they couldn't be pecked.
I
looked it up. It's not that. Sorry.
I had to go into a thesaurus and say, yeah, that's a good word. Okay, I'll use that today.
Ron can't even spell thesaurus. Okay.
Excuse me? Thesaurus. Thesaurus. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
You just spelled it wrong.
I did. That's, what are you going to do? 330-886-0813. I went to Letonia after all. 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline, open for business. We had some good games last night.
We did.
And then we had some games that a lot of walks in the Ursuline Mooney game. That wasn't very
still
pleasant.
4-1, very competitive.
Very competitive, absolutely.
Not clean,
It wasn't clean, that's for sure. But some solid games on the diamond yesterday.
So I was surprised the West Branch score. They got handed to by Marlington yesterday in Game 1 of that series on the baseball diamond.
Marlington is a pretty good team.
We've been watching West Branch kick people's butt all in the area, and to see Marlington come in and give them a taste of their own medicine, that was one of the eye-popping scores last night for me when I was looking through them.
The other one, Salem had Boardman right where they wanted, and Boardman comes up with a huge bottom of the 7th inning and snatches a victory away from Salem. The Quakers had a 7-game winning streak going into that game. They fall to 7-2. You know, the EBC, and we've talked about this, whether it be basketball or football and now baseball, that is a sneaky good division. Sneaky good conference.
It's only sneaky because they don't get a lot of talk because there's only 2 of them in our coverage area per se. You could argue maybe sometimes the Lions sneaks in there, but usually in our coverage area, it's pretty much West Branch and Salem. So they're the only 2 teams that get a lot of looks from our local media. So it feels like anytime one of those teams comes out and beats you, you're like, who's this team?
Yeah.
Because
I would argue
the Alliance is really good, even though the record doesn't show it.
I would argue, especially this year, if you were to have an all-star game between members of the EBC and members of the NEA, that would be a really, really competitive game, mainly because Gavin Bruni would be one of the pitchers that would be throwing, and you'd also have the DeShields kid, and you would have the kids from Salem that are really good on the hill, amongst other teams. I think that would be an unbelievably great baseball game. If you had an all-star game from those 2 leagues, I think it would be an unbelievably great all-star game.
Yeah. Speaking of the NE8, South Range making that statement against Poland, 10-0. Trey Pancake stays hot at the plate.
I don't know about you, but I get the feeling, and I want to bring this. I want to bring the draft league into this because 6 weeks from today, the season starts at Eastwood Field. Home portion of the season starts. Do you think there is a possibility, a chance, that Trey Pancake gets invited to play in this league? This kid is ridiculously raking this year. I mean, his batting average, if it's not at 500, I'll be damn surprised. Because every time out, I'm seeing 2 hits, 3 hits, 4 hits. He raked down in Myrtle Beach. Do you think there is a possibility that maybe this kid gets an invite from Prep Baseball Report to the draft league?
Like outside chance,
An outside chance.
You never want to say never because Trey Pancakes is really one of the best players in the area. But I'm trying to navigate how to answer this because I don't think it's like, oh man, he's going to get in the league, so I don't want to make it sound like.
No, it's not a slam dunk.
I'm not like.
Because I hate to break it to everyone. Ohio's not a baseball state compared to the southern states and the states out west. It's a different brand of baseball in the South as it is in the West because the weather dictates a better brand of baseball. Having said that, Trey Pancake is having a ridiculous year.
He is.
Where he might possibly get on the radar of PBR to be invited.
I think he seems like a player that I would want to see go and play at the next level first to see what he does against the next level of competition. Could he get in that draft league down the road if he goes and really shines at Ohio State? Absolutely. Do I see it happening out of high school for him? I mean, I don't see it. It could happen, but that's a really hard step to make. I mean, you have to be elite to go from high school into the draft league.
One guy that I think has a really, really, really good chance is Collin Floyd from Youngstown State to make the jump and to be part of the draft
By the
league.
way, he got into the top 30 of D1 baseball again this week.
That's the second or third time that he's done that, which tells me, and he's draft eligible. This was his last year of eligibility. I think that I don't want to say a foregone conclusion because we don't want to jinx anything, but I think there's a really good chance that Collin becomes one of the pitchers invited into this prestigious inaugural Major League Baseball Draft League season.
I could absolutely see that with the season he's putting together, the resume that he's put together in this career, the career milestones he's hitting that breaking YSU records. Feels like he's constantly in the public eye, constantly getting recognized by national baseball writers, this D1Baseball.com. So I think absolutely because he's getting the exposure that you need to get on the radar. So if he keeps doing what he's doing and finishes the season cleanly, then absolutely he's one of those guys that I could absolutely see in this draft league.
Yeah, and let's not forget, this is Youngstown State has put a couple of kids, actually a handful of kids, into Major League Baseball. Pitchers. Dave Dravecki went to Youngstown State. Justin Thomas went to Youngstown State. The young man that was drafted by the Texas Rangers, either the Rangers or the Giants in the first round, and he wound up going into the major leagues. So it's not like Collin Floyd is breaking records that belong to guys that never did anything post-college. So this kid certainly has a better than average chance at being part in this inaugural Major League Baseball draft league season.
Yeah. I mean, what more can you say about him? I mean, we've talked about him. It seems like we've talked about him every week. I'm sure he pops up in your talks with Dan Berlini almost every week. I mean,
he's now to the point where if you don't see him go 7 innings, you have to raise your eyebrows and go, okay, what the heck just happened here? Is he hurt? What just happened here? So he's just putting up monster numbers. Speaking of which, and we'll go back to South Range. Monster numbers by South Range. Trey Pancake 4 more hits. South Range shuts out Poland 10-0. Mikos 12 strikeouts, 1 walk. South Range is a really good baseball team. This just in.
They got a couple of, I think a question mark was on the mound coming into the day because everyone kind of knew what Jake Aaron was going through and knew he wasn't going to play. So I think people were like, okay, can they have more than one pitcher step up, more than Brandon Mikos step up and really give them solid innings? And I think that's been proven with their pitching staff, that they have kids that they can trust on the mound to go in and keep them in the game. Not shut people down. You're not going to have everyone shut everyone down, but not make too many mistakes. Hit your spots and keep the team in the game. And they have multiple pitchers that can do that for them, whether it be in the bullpen or starters.
Anthony, I'm going to tell you what, D3 tournament is going to be absolutely outrageous because Columbiana and this kid, this Eusebio kid, and he's only a freshman. We're going to be talking about him for the next 4 years. My goodness, I haven't seen a talent this good since Chase Franken broke through the scene 4 years ago when he was a freshman at Columbiana. This kid is unbelievable.
Columbiana, they've got it, but the thing that always worries me about that is that their schedule, and that's out of their control, out of the players' control. But when they go to play teams that play the NE8 schedule, are they ready for that? You never know. I mean, they played Boardman, right? Columbiana played Boardman.
That's their only loss of the year.
So they're putting quality teams on their schedule. But at the same time, when you just see them continuously dominate the EOAC, and you just wonder if they fall into that groove of almost lethargicness that you kind of fall into when you're continuously better than the team across from you.
It would be nice if they played the other school that is located in the postal city of Columbiana.
That would be a good game.
It would be a great game, and I just
that's another Division III team.
And listen, I understand that this is a little thing that's gone back about 4 or 5 years. Put your picks and axes down. Put your swords down. Put your knives down. Your guns down. Not literally, of course.
Oh.
Put all this stuff down. Let's be grown-ups and let's start scheduling each other again, because Crestview and Columbiana is one of the best rivalries in high school football in the Mahoning Valley, and it is a damn shame that the last few years fans have been denied that in the northern part of Columbiana County. It's time for you guys to put your swords down, act like adults, and get each other on the schedule again.
But besides that, Crestview's another team in Division III that we got to talk about.
Yeah.
And I think I brought them up on Monday. Champion is a team that's going to be Division III. Probably a part of that super district that we got to continue talking about because they're having a great season.
Liberty's going to be, and as long as Dwight Parker is pitching for Liberty, they always have a chance to win. Last night, 16 punch-outs in a 6-2 victory over Camel. So, yes, Liberty's 3-4. But when Dwight Parker's on the mound, he's tough.
They lost a couple 1-0 games.
Absolutely.
And then they won a couple 1-0 games.
Yeah, so it's, if their offense is able to get some production, they got a pretty good baseball team because they're not going to give up a whole lot of runs with this pitching staff of theirs.
They're not. And then, you go down the list of Division 3. I always get this. Ursuline is Division 3?
I believe
in baseball.
Either Ursuline or Mooney is Division.
I feel like the baseball is Division 3 and then Mooney's Division 2.
No, it was basketball. It was
basketball. That was that way, right? Mooney was
3 and Ursuline was 2. Yeah, so Cardinal Mooney will be a D3 school.
They're always well. That's not a foregone conclusion either because it's Mooney girls sports is different in volleyball than basketball. For some.
Okay.
I mean, it could be different in baseball, but as far as we know, Mooney's Division 3.
Yeah, we're gonna have to take a look and see who's what. But I mean. Look, Cardinal Mooney and Ursuline, there were a lot of walks in that game. Ursuline wound up getting 4 runs, but they only had 2 hits. And I think between the two schools, there was a dozen or so walks last night. That's, it's exciting, but it's lengthy when you start walking all kinds of people.
Springfield's D3 in baseball,
Springfield
right?
is D3 in baseball.
Seymour's pitching really well for them. So
yeah, and they are they're a team to be reckoned with as well. I mean, it's D3 is going to be absolutely incredible.
Whoever gets out of this area in D3 is going to be tested. I mean, that's what you just.
Oh, no question.
They're going to be well tested and ready for the next round of games.
Now, by the way, kudos to McDonald for knocking off Springfield last night, 8-5. They scored a 6 spot in the 3rd inning en route to the 8-5 victory. That at McDonald's D4 will be entertaining, but not nearly as entertaining as D3.
How about the little rivalry that's bubbling up in the boys' sports between McDonald and Springfield?
Oh yeah,
like the little it's sitting there on the surface.
And listen, it's been there for a while, but everyone kind of looks at it and goes, "Well, Springfield's got South Range. Back in the day, that was their chief
but
rival."
Now it's starting to because you don't see Springfield play South Range in a lot of sports.
Exactly.
They play basketball, but not in football anymore.
Yeah.
Not in, I don't think they're on the schedule for baseball. They might be. But then you look at this McDonald. Their basketball teams battled each other night in, night out. They split the season series. Baseballs are fighting each other with competitive games.
I think with South Range out of this league, the old ICL, I think with South Range out, McDonald comes in and they're now the chief rival for the Springfield Tigers.
South Range is kind of replacing Springfield with, I would say, Poland, especially on the girls' side.
Yeah, and you look at before everyone started saying, "Well, Springfield can't play Poland all the time." No, those two teams used to play each other in football. They used to play each other in basketball. By the way, when we had Coach Fender on yesterday, he said Springfield's on our schedule next year. All right, let's go. I love when Springfield plays for a while. I love when we get the Battle of 170 going on here. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's exciting. And then, I talked about it, the rivalry between South Range and Poland, especially on the girls' side.
Oh,
it's just like it's fierce. I don't care. Like walking into this softball game last night, on paper, South Range is a better softball team.
Yeah.
You can just look at the roster and just say,
yeah,
there's more talent here, but that game, you can just feel the energy and the edge, the the way that both teams reacted to things that happened, that how much they wanted that game, how much Poland wanted that game, and man, they pulled off the upset 8-7 over South Range. Their hitters were extremely good at working the count. The multiple hitters fell down 0-2 and fouled off like 3 or 4 pitches and ended up working a walk or working a hit just to get extra pitches. Jackie Grisdale had 5 RBIs on the night.
Yeah.
She had 4 coming into the day and the season, and so she hits 5 in the one night.
That's beautiful.
Superstars kind of come out when the game matters most. It was fun to watch, and it kind of. Now Poland is undefeated in the NE8, but then Girard beat Hubbard 6-3. So they threw a monkey wrench into this conference, because now if Poland sweeps South Range tonight, they have the driver's spot in the NE8, And if South Range splits, then there's a 3-team tie up the top of the NE8.
Assuming Hubbard can beat Girard today.
If Hubbard takes care of business and bounces back against Girard.
Yeah.
So, I said before on this show, and I've said it on my blog as well, Girard's a team that isn't quite ready to compete to win the NE8 yet, but they're definitely a team that's good enough to throw a monkey wrench into it, and they did that last night. They pulled off the upset against Hubbard, and they get better every game they play. I've seen them. I'm not surprised they beat Hubbard, but it's one of those games that kind of shook things up a little bit and made the NE8 ultra interesting.
No, it's going to be a great division. And by the way, I think South Range has to play Hubbard yet.
Yeah, South Range and Poland both
have to play Hubbard, so it's...
But see, that's what's really fun. If they're all tied going into those series, how important those series are going to be.
Sure.
Is going to be real fun. I bet Hubbard's got to root for South Range to win tonight. So that way, they don't have to chase. They can be right where Poland and South Range are.
And the South Range boys knocking off Poland yesterday. So a little bit of a split. The boys won for South Range. The girls lost.
Yeah.
Now they'll take the act to Poland today. And we'll see what happens.
I'm interested to see. Well, I think Poland will keep the same pitcher, but I don't know if South Range will try to start someone else or go right back to Bree Kohler. Because South Range has proven this season that they have a little bit more depth in the circle. They have people they can trust to go in there. But this is a big game. You cannot lose to Poland. So do you just stick with your ace, or do you try someone else, see if that works, and always have your ace in that back pocket? It'll be interesting to see how Jeff DeRose kind of decides to navigate that.
I got to believe you start your ace and just say, look, Bree
Because
Kohler had an
up.
off day yesterday.
She did.
And if anything, then Bree Kohler's one of those kids that she's going to want a little bit of a revenge. So give her the ball and say, listen, forget about what happened yesterday. Be yourself. Do your thing. Today's another day. Let's see what you can do.
That's one of the best things I think I've seen from Kohler this season compared to, the last time we saw her at South Range was her sophomore year. Her ability to let things go when things don't go right. I think in years past, her sophomore, freshman year, if she wasn't pitching well, she wouldn't hit well. She'd let that fester and she wouldn't have the right. But she hit really well. Navigated through some trouble. I mean, I know she gave up 8 runs, but only 5 of them were earned. Still got some big strikeouts in big situations. So her ability to kind of let things go mentally, I think, is the biggest change I've seen from Bree Kohler as a sophomore last time we saw her at South Range to now Bree Kohler as a senior. She's really matured in that way. And to be successful in this sport, you know this as well as I do, you have to be able to handle failure.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a sport of failure.
It is.
So how you bounce back from things not going your way is super important, and she's been able to mentally let stuff go.
And you got to have a very long or a very short memory, excuse me. You
long
have a very
memory
short
for some
memory.
things.
Well, long for some things, but short for other things. And then when you're getting lit up, it's got to be a short memory because you got to sit back and go, okay, they got the best of me yesterday. Today's my day. I'm going to go out on the hill and dominate.
And Kohler throws velocity, so that's why you see her give up home runs every now and then. She gave up 2 last night, but if you're throwing hard and it's straight and they get a bat on it, it's going to leave the yard really quick.
Yeah, and the key in that is if you throw it hard and you throw it straight. A straight fastball is the most hittable pitch in baseball.
And in softball, it's the rise ball that doesn't rise. I mean, if it's not picking up, then the bat's going to connect it, top spin, gone.
Then it's going to be out of the dodge.
She did a really good job against the Poland hitters that you came into the day thinking these ones could do damage. The 4, 5, and 6 hitters that have been doing all the damage for Poland this year. 11 home runs combined between 2 hitters. They were all hitless. So it was the top of the order and the bottom of the Poland order that really did the damage against Kohler, which is probably a bright spot for Coach Sarich and the Bulldogs because coming into that game, it was all the middle of the lineup. If they weren't getting RBIs, then the Poland Bulldogs were not getting runs. So to see the top of the order and the bottom of the order kind of pick up the slack when Kohler was pitching really well against that meat, probably really optimal reason to really feel good about your team if you're Poland.
No, absolutely. I agree with that. And these two teams will play each other at Poland Just like the baseball teams will play each other at Poland, the JV teams will play at South Range. But the one game that opened my eye in softball yesterday, and again, Crestview gets another victory over Brookfield, 3-1. It was a real nice pitchers duel. I thought Sutton and Nicholson both had an amazing game. They held each other's the teams to 3 hits apiece. Unfortunately, Brookfield committed 2 errors, and that kind of came back and haunted Brookfield. Because Crestview was down 1-0 going into the top of the 6th inning. Rebels scored 2 times in the top of the 6th, got a big insurance run in the 7th inning, and wound up winning the game 3-1. But both pitchers pitched reasonably well.
And Keaton Sutton is a star in the circle, and she's only a junior. So we saw her freshman year. She kind of lit up the scene. She led the conference, which included champion in strikeouts in 2019 as a freshman. Very impressive. I think she's struggled a little bit her junior season because I think there's a little bit more of a book on her now. So she's definitely navigated some tough innings. But to her credit, she's bounced back from every tough inning she's had and pitched really well. Especially this weekend when she had to bounce back from losing to Girard on Thursday. They came out this weekend. She pitched really well against Brookfield. And like I said before, they have a second arm in McKenna Schultz they can throw, and she's liable to throw a no-hitter as well. So they have depth in the circle, which makes them pretty dangerous.
No question. I mean, this is a dangerous team. But unfortunately for Crestview, champions in that league, the measuring stick
they can't think like that.
Yeah, the measuring stick is way up here. So if you can play close to way up here, you can do some serious damage come tournament time. And again, being that most of our teams are D3 and D4, with a couple of D2 teams and D1 teams sprinkled in there, but the meat of our teams, D3 and D4, you're going to wind up seeing a lot of interesting D3 and D4 games.
Yeah, and that's why I would like to see a little bit more of the inter team scheduling between these D3 teams that might see each other in the tournament.
All right, news just breaking, and this is not a shock to anybody. Jadeveon Clowney is signed with the Cleveland Browns. So this will be an interesting signing. He's a 1-year deal. I don't know how much money they spent on him. He'll stop the run. That's one of the things that Jadeveon Clowney definitely can do is stop the run. If you're expecting him to rush the passer and sack the quarterback, I hate to break it to you, he's not very good at that. But he is a very nice addition in terms of stopping the run. So I think that the fact that Cleveland was not very good at stopping the run last year, you get Jadeveon Clowney, okay, this is a good acquisition from that perspective. But if you're interested in, this guy's going to make Myles Garrett get about 15 or 20 sacks, no, that's not going to happen because Jadeveon Clowney's not a quarterback sacker per se. He's had 1 year in his career where he's had double-digit sacks. He'll put pressure on the quarterback, but he doesn't get to the quarterback that often. But Jadeveon Clowney signing a 1-year deal with the Cleveland Browns, that made official moments ago by the organization. So there you go.
Hey, the countdown is officially on for the Tokyo Olympics, too.
Hey, there you go.
Which I'm super excited about because for one Olympics at least, baseball and softball will be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then they're out of it again. Because Paris is next. They said they didn't want baseball, softball.
I do not want the baseball and softball.
It is sport. The baseball and softball.
I do not understand this baseball and softball. You get the hell out of here. Horrible. Yeah. Just make it an Olympic sport and be done with it.
I'll never understand why they took it out in the first place.
Stupid French. Your wine sucks too, by the way.
I was so happy to see it get back in 2020, and then maybe a year later we see a report that it's not going to be installed in the 2024 Olympics, and I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah, make it an Olympic sport and be done with it. I mean, I just don't understand why we can't do that. But all right. Anyway, and we made mention of this last time you were here on Monday. Matsuyama, now that he won the Masters, I think there's a pretty good chance that he takes part in the opening ceremonies.
Oh, if he's not the flag bearer or whatever you call the person, I assume it's flag bearer. If I'm wrong, I'll be corrected.
Holding the flag or lighting the torch.
He should be the one carrying out the flag for.
Either that or lighting the torch to open up the Olympic Games in Tokyo. I mean, I think he's going to play a major part, and he better have the green jacket on while he's doing that too.
We have two bona fide Japanese superstars playing in the America right now in Shohei Ohtani and Hideki Matsuyama, because Ohtani's just a. I mean, I saw Japanese advertisements at Kauffman Stadium when he was at bat, not like Sony or someone that does business here in the States, like Japanese companies that only do business in Japan are paying money to MLB to put advertisements behind the plate when he's up. So Matsuyama might be a little bit more popular right now because of winning the Masters, but both bona fide superstars in Japan.
I will say this: the Japanese media will follow just about anyone that starts infiltrating into American sports. We had a couple of kids I got to remember this. Believe it was the Cubs and the Mariners organization. We had a couple of kids that were Japanese that were trying to get into Major League Baseball. And we had members of the Japanese press come all the way to Jackson, Tennessee to cover these kids for a weekend. And we're talking 5-6 people from one conglomerate of members of the media in Japan covering this person for an entire weekend. And I was blown away by this. I was like, he's not even in Major League Baseball yet, and you guys are trying to get people interested in Japan as to how close this person is getting into major leagues. I love when the Japanese media just shows up and starts covering their guys. Oh, they're great. Just phenomenal. It brings an extra buzz into the press box.
Now, when that happened, were you guys told ahead of time these are some ways that you have to go about the cultural differences and be careful for doing this?
It was I would ask them how much English they knew, and they knew enough to get by. So a lot of bowing, which is cool.
Right.
And a lot of just very respectful of our culture, very respectful of how we did things. And I told them, I said, look, you guys have free reign before and after the game, but during the game, you guys don't have free reign. I mean, you can go into the camera well and take pictures, but you can't go on the field or anything like that until after the game. Well, it was no problem. And I'll say this: they love covering their people. That's you talk about being proud of your heritage. Holy smokes!
You think you go into Japan for baseball? It's really big over there.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah, we taught them how to play the game, and they kick our ass now.
And I don't know if you. I mean, Japanese baseball is fun to watch.
It is.
Not the what was the one during the pandemic? That was Korea. A little bit different. Japanese baseball is a little bit different than the Korean league that was on during the pandemic. Was it Korean?
Yeah, it was Korean league that was on during the pandemic.
A little bit different. Although I was a Dinos fan.
There you go.
Because the pandemic had me that bored.
Okay.
But anyway, Japanese baseball is very fun to watch.
It's a lot more vocal. Yes, and a lot more chanting and cheering in the Japanese league.
There's not. It's more like. I think I like it because it's more like softball a little bit. There's some softball edge to the baseball because there's slappers in Japanese baseball.
Yeah,
they'll run at the ball and they'll hit it and get their little running start to first base. Ichiro did it really well in the MLB, and I think a lot of baseball players over here were like, what the heck's this?
But he stayed in the batter's box.
He did, because even baseball, even softball slappers, you have to stay in the batter's box,
Yeah.
even though it appears they don't. But they'll just start in the back of it, and they'll take a couple steps before they hit it, slap it in the left field if you're a left-handed hitter, and just get a little start momentum-wise to first base.
And Ichiro was so damn fast. If he hit a ball to the left side of the infield, there was a really good chance he was going to be able to beat it out for an infield single, and he did that on a number of occasions. So, yeah, I mean, it's different. It's a different brand of baseball. And one of the things that I really appreciate, if a guy on the mound drills a batter, he'll bow as if to say, "Hey, that's on me. I apologize." If he doesn't bow, then you know. Then you know it's on. It's on. But if he
Hat's about
bows,
to come off and it's over.
yeah. If he bows, then hey, that's on me. No big deal, and all is good. So it's a different culture. It's a different brand of baseball. We had a kid that was in the Cubs organization that worked really, really hard and wound up getting into the Major League Baseball. But Lou Piniella was the manager of the Cubs. And Lou was a guy that didn't normally like playing the kids over the veterans. So Matt Merton, Georgia Tech kid. Matt Merton really wasn't given that great of an opportunity to play baseball for the Cubs. So he bounced around with, I believe, Oakland. Well, he finally went over to Japan. Matt Merton broke Ichiro Suzuki's record for most hits in a season. He is revered over there as an all-time great. And Matt Merton just was the guy in Japan for about a 5 or 6 year stretch. And to this day, everyone talks about how great Matt Merton was in Japan. But it didn't work out for him in the States, per se. He goes to Japan. Oh, good Lord, he's a hitting machine. So he's a superstar. He's a god over there, small G. Yeah, Georgia Tech kid. Really nice kid, too. I remember one time, and this was not just once. This was a daily, nightly occurrence. After a game was over and everyone's gone, I'm talking with, and I think Bobby Dickerson was the manager of the team. As a matter of fact, I know he was. So Bobby D and I are talking after the game. We're talking about just life and everything else. Talking about the result of the game. And I'm hearing this whap, whap, and I'm like, what the hell? Who the hell is still here? And Bobby's like, oh, that's Merton. I'm like, it's 11:30 at night. He goes, I don't know. He'll be here for about an hour working on his swing. I'm like, oh man, okay.
Danny Hall taught them well.
Oh, he lived in the cage, which is a reason why I think he was a 360 hitter in Double-A ball, and then shot up to the major leagues pretty quickly. I just wish that Lou would have played him a little bit more when he was in the major leagues, but neither here nor there. He winds up in Japan and winds up being an unbelievably superstar player over there.
Hey, good for him. You probably never be a superstar in the MLB, so he goes to Japan and becomes a superstar over there.
Yeah, but roundabout way, the Japanese love coming over here and covering their kids. And Ohtani, and I'm not really.
He's so good.
I'm not out of bounds when I say this. Ohtani might be the best hitter/pitcher Major League Baseball has had since Babe Ruth.
One of the only. I mean, it doesn't happen often.
No, it doesn't.
See someone hit both ways.
Ruth is the only guy.
Ruth had 70 wins and 70 home runs, and he's like the only guy to ever do that.
Yeah, I think he wound up like
70
80
plus, 70
80,
plus, 70
yeah,
plus.
I think he wound up with 80 plus wins. Babe Ruth would have been a Hall of Fame pitcher. I mean, people don't understand. Babe Ruth and Walter Johnson pitched against each other.
Caveat
10
because he
times.
only pitched against his. It wasn't It wasn't.
Well, no, he was only pitching against white people. That blacks and Latinos weren't allowed to play Major League Baseball back then, so he was only pitching and playing against his own race. But Babe Ruth had a 7-3 lifetime record against Walter Johnson, who is considered to be the greatest pitcher in that era. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And the fact that Ohtani is every bit as good on the mound as Ruth was. And, oh, by the way, Ohtani can hit the ball, too.
He can mash,
oh,
man.
my God. I mean,
He's so big. Like, he's just...
When he pitches, they don't have to worry about a DH. They're like, yeah, he's going to hit second in our lineup. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the best thing they ever did with him is after the surgeries and everything, they just said, you know what? Go play.
That's
Forget
it.
the restrictions. Forget the leash. Just go play. Go be you. And he's taken off ever since Joe Madden just said, you know what? We're not going to restrict this kid anymore. We're just going to let him go play.
And Madden's probably the best manager for him to play for because he's unconventional and he doesn't give a crap about conventional stuff. I mean, he marches to the beat of his own drum, and he's the perfect guy because I think a buttoned-up manager would have ruined Ohtani at this point.
Probably wouldn't have let him pitch.
Exactly. A button-up manager would have sat back and said, no, you're going to be our outfielder or DH, and that's going to be the end of that. You're not going to pitch. But Madden is progressive enough where he's going to sit back and go, you know what? I don't give a... You go pitch. Every fifth day, go pitch.
Right.
I'm going to bat you second in the lineup. When you're not pitching, I'm batting you second in the lineup anyway. Have your fun. So he's a throwback of about 100 years ago. He's a throwback. I mean, I never thought we would see a Babe Ruth type of player in that, oh, he's a really good pitcher and a really good hitter. I never thought we'd see anything like this in my lifetime. And the only guy that's ever done it on this level with this much success is Babe Ruth.
Once again, the Japanese game emulating softball because you see a lot of pitchers that can rake in softball.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's a great brand of baseball. Now it's not major league caliber baseball, but it's AA, AAA type of baseball, which is good. And there's a lot of kids that are making the jump from the Japanese league into the States playing Major League Baseball because they want to get a sense of better competition, and more importantly, they want to get paid a whole lot more money.
And Ichiro opened the door for that.
Oh my God, yeah,
hands down,
absolutely, he did. And I think that it's a great concept for Major League Baseball. I think that it proves the game can be worldwide, except for the Europeans that do not understand this game.
That's one of the things. Like the knock on the Olympics was it didn't. The best Americans couldn't play because the MLB, you're not going to play during the season.
No, you play the amateurs.
So it wasn't like the knock for baseball was, well, we're not putting our best out there.
Well, we never put our best out there in basketball until we got tired of getting beat. And then in 88, we were like, 92, we were like, yeah, we're going to...
Screw this.
We're going to put our NBA players out there, and you guys are going to get destroyed, and that'll be the end of that.
People were starting to talk a little bit, and, America was like, wait a minute, guys, you realize you're not beating us. I mean, you are, but you're not.
Yeah. It would be...
you think so? Oh, okay.
No,
you know what?
Yeah.
Michael, come here.
Hey, Michael, Magic, Bird, Barkley, yeah.
Just sit back. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Yeah, let's have some fun here.
Here we are. Fight us now.
And sadly, I was pissed when they did that, but I understood. Now looking back on it, I understood why we did it because everyone was doing this, saying, "Oh, we're beating you guys." No, you're not. You're beating our college kids.
You are, but you're not.
You're not beating our best players, And then the NHL had to basically do the same thing, and essentially, and I'll say it, even though this might ruffle some feathers. The NHL used the Olympics to gain a little popularity. I mean, by letting the kids from Canada, the NHL players from Canada take part in this, the NHL players from the States, they're going to take part in the Olympics, the NHL players from Finland, Sweden, the former Soviet Union, and now hockey is this, holy crap, this is unbelievable. Well, the NHL needed to do that because the NHL isn't isn't really well watched,
It was
unfortunately.
flailing. It was flailing.
It was, and it's sad because it's a great sport. It is what it is. We have to, and I know we've been talking an awful lot about
We went off on a
local,
really long Japanese
yeah,
tangent.
local high school baseball and football. But we got to talk about something that happened yesterday in Buffalo. And you and I spoke about this, and I said a month ago, and this was a conversation that I had with my parents. My parents had just been vaccinated, and I said, you want to laminate your vaccination records? And they looked at me and they're like, why? I said, because there's going to come a point in time where you're going to need to show that in order to go to certain places. And sure enough, yesterday, an absolute bombshell coming out of Buffalo. And I don't know if this is a Terry and Kim Pagula thing or if this is the start of something that could very well be happening in the National Football League. But the Buffalo Bills yesterday made an unbelievable announcement where...
And the Sabres, by the way.
And the Sabres. And I think the Sabres, it's going to start the next hockey season. But they announced this coming NFL season, we expect all of our fans. We expect no limits. We're going to have our entire stadium open for the fans. However, we are not going to allow fans to come into our stadium unless they have been vaccinated, and you have to show proof that you have been vaccinated. When that announcement came off, oh dear God, you would have thought that Terry and Kim Pagula murdered someone, and everyone was saying, well, I don't know how that you can get away with this. Listen, I'll guarantee you two things. Number one, they went to lawyers, and they made sure that this is airtight, so nobody could sue them.
Well, you can.
You can, but you're not going to win. It's airtight. And number two, do not be a bit surprised if Roger Goodell's fingerprints are on this, where he gave them the blessing. And not only that, and I don't know this for a fact.
I don't think you could have done this without his blessing.
Exactly. And I don't know this for a fact, but we can speculate. I truly believe the 31 other teams in the National Football League are going to fall in line with the Buffalo Bills, and this is going to become a mandate before the NFL season starts.
I think some teams will, but I don't think it'll be league-wide. I think there are some teams that know where they are in the country and what demographic they represent and realize that this call would not go as well in that area. And as much as I love Kansas City, I think they're in one of those spots in the country where if they did this, then it would not be received well at all in their area in Kansas City.
I got a really good friend that he and I grew up together and lives in Florida. And he said there is no possible way this happens in Florida because the governor down there would never allow it. Again.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. The government can't just say you can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. This is the National Football League is a business.
At the end of the day, it's a private
business
run organization. So
with 32 owners.
They have every right to say
exactly.
You have to be now. Whether or not you agree with that or you think it's right is beside the fact that it's legal. They can do it, and it's opening up a can of worms because now there's going to be other places that are going to say, "Got to be vaccinated. You got to be vaccinated," and that can be a pretty slope into. Well, now you have to prove you have to be vaccinated to be a member of society. Almost. You're
going into a rabbit hole that I don't know that this is something that we truly want to do. Now, part of me likes this because, if I'm going to go to a Bills game this year, I surely don't want to sit next to someone who has COVID. Now, I don't know if they're going to still put a thermometer or something to the person's head and say, okay, you're normal, go through. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not.
Here's another thing. The vaccination is not a shield. It's not a blanket. It's not like 100% this guy does not have COVID because he's vaccinated. So you're still taking that risk by letting people in the stadium. Even though it's a lot less of a risk than it is if you're not vaccinated. it's not like people like don't think that because you're vaccinated, you're 100% immune to this disease.
No, you're 90%. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's. I get it. I get why they're doing it because you want. I think it's the only way to do full capacity almost to say you're going to let everyone in. You have to have a control. You have to have some control over it. But man, when I read through the mentions of that Twitter post,
there was some.
No, it's Twitter, and that mention, that doesn't really, because the only people that are going to reply to it on Twitter are the people that have negative responses.
Oh,
to
yeah,
it. No one goes to Twitter to Bravo.
No.
You never get pats on the back on Twitter. If you know what I'm saying.
Very rarely will you get a pat on the back and a cookie. Yeah. But Jordan Poyer's wife, and Jordan Poyer is one of the safeties for the Buffalo Bills. She is quite conservative in her beliefs. She went absolutely ballistic over this and said, well, there's no way I'm going to do this. I'm going to watch my husband play, and there's no way they're going to be able to stop me, and I ain't getting vaccinated. I mean, okay.
Do you think there are some people that have the power in the Bills organization to bypass that rule?
Let me ask you. Do you think the players are all going to be vaccinated and say, "Hey, I'm on board with this"? Josh Allen has already said, "I'm not so sure that I want to get vaccinated."
Do all the players in the league have to now be vaccinated? Because, let's say the Bills play the Patriots. The team comes in, they're not vaccinated. The coaches aren't vaccinated.
Exactly.
What do you do with that?
Here's the rabbit hole, and this is where we're going. Yeah, Roger Goodell is going to be the single most sought after guy if he throws down the absolute hammer and says,
"This is league mandatory.
All players must be vaccinated.
Now,
all fans must be vaccinated, or you can't come into the stadium."
You can do it to your fans. Can you legally impose your employees to be vaccinated?
See, that's where HIPAA laws are going to be. That's where,
because obviously we know that doing it to the fans doesn't violate HIPAA laws the same way that public schools force you to be vaccinated as a kid if you want to be a part of your
exactly.
So that's not. But does it violate HIPAA laws when you force your employees, to be vaccinated?
That's the $1 million question. And
I don't know if the NFL can do that legally.
And I honestly, Goodell has got some interesting things to talk about.
I don't know if the Bills can even do that legally.
I don't know if anybody can do that legally and tell their people, hey, you got to be vaccinated or we're going to fire you.
But then, you would think that the medical field could say you have to be vaccinated because they're dealing with,
Yeah. Listen.
Obviously, it's very smart to be vaccinated.
All I know is, here's my prediction. The National Football League is going to have that mandate for the fans. You're not coming into a stadium unless you're vaccinated.
You think that's going to be an NFL mandate, or do you think all the teams are just going to follow it willingly?
I think that's going to be an NFL mandate if all teams are not willing to go about it.
If it's the NFL mandate, at least there are teams that can say to their region of fans, this wasn't us.
Yeah.
This wasn't our choice, but we have to do it.
And by the way,
but I don't think there will be. I think there will be teams that will never say to that we are personally.
Oh no, I agree with that. Listen, Nashville, Tennessee. You think that's going to go over like a fart in church,
right?
Telling the people in Nashville and in the state of Tennessee that's very conservative. Oh, by the way, in order for you to come to our game, you have to show proof that you've been vaccinated. It's going to go over like a fart in church there, Texas and Florida.
It'll be interesting to see where people draw the lines of their beliefs on vaccination compared to their need to go to a football game.
Exactly, and here's where the
because it could really hurt their attendance, or it could really does not really affect it that much.
And the fan has the ultimate say in this, because if enough fans sit back and say, "Screw you, we're not going to go to your games," and the season ticket holders say, then this mandate goes away. This mandate goes away real quick. But it will not surprise me, and as a matter of fact, I will say this as a prediction.
Wouldn't that be wild if they made that mandate and then no one showed up to the game?
Exactly.
They're like, wait a minute.
There's my prediction on the 14th of April in the year of our Lord 2021, the 2021 season, National Football League teams by rule are going to mandate fans that they're going to have to be vaccinated before they go see the
We open the
game.
can of worms, though, because they do that, and then they can't say their players or coaches have to be vaccinated.
Oh,
That's going to
man.
be a huge. People are going to see perception of that. It's going to be a huge
It's gonna
double
be-
standard.
Exactly.
Even if, because people don't dive into law and realize that it's not, it's legal to do one, it's not legal to do the other, whatever.
Exactly.
The perception of it is going to be really bad.
It's going to be horribly bad. All right, nothing horribly bad about our next guest. We're going to talk golf with Brian Tolnar. He's got a lot of stuff going on at Mill Creek. We'll talk about that, as well as the RBC. No, not the Arby's.
Not Arby's.
Not Arby's, although
Dang it.
curly fries right now would be great. The RBC at Hilton Head, South Carolina. That's coming up this weekend. We will talk with Brian Tolnar. Stick around. Don't go away.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends: shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
Hi, I'm Collin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Bad credit, no problem. I can get you approved for a low-interest loan and maybe even a low-payment lease on a new car at the #1 Chevy dealership in Trumbull County for 3 years in a row. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved or come see me, Tony Page, to get a new vehicle today. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austin Town. Ron Potesta with you, alongside Anthony Hartwig, and joining us as he does every Wednesday at this time, the golf guru, the man in charge of Mill Creek, and the man that loves to talk golf with us, Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek, joining us at this time on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What say you, sir?
Oh, can't say too much. It's sunny out. It's on the verge of being about 65, 66 degrees today, and that's a great recipe for playing the game of golf. So, we'll take that. After a couple cooler days and a little bit of rain, I think, is coming in tomorrow. So everybody's going to try to get their golf in before the rain gets here on Thursday, and then hopefully we'll be back at it and we'll go on Friday and through the weekend. It's been spectacular weather-wise up until that point.
Okay, let's talk before we get into the Masters and the RBC, not to be confused with the Arby's. because Anthony and I are hungry right now. What is going on at Mill Creek? Have you guys? Did you guys have a profitable weekend on the weekend of the Masters tournaments?
I'll tell you what, we came out of the gate swinging, and it was very, very busy on Saturday and Sunday, believe it or not. And then on Monday at our board meeting, at the Metro Parks board meeting, they lifted all the COVID restrictions for all the outdoor camps and clinics and golf lessons and all the fun stuff that we do, not only here in golf but in recreation and education across the park. So you're gonna start seeing concerts again at the park, which we're excited about. Our leagues that we tried to get off the ground last year for soccer and baseball and softball and volleyball, tennis, archery, disc golf, the whole gamut of activities from a recreational standpoint, back in action this year with that being lifted. So, we're certainly excited about that, the potential that it brings. Excited to get the boathouses back open up. That's under our portion of golf and recreation as well. So it's going to be neat to have them back in the fray. And just seeing activity beyond just what we had the last year or so with just strictly golf only. So a number of people have already been calling. The emails are blowing up, the Facebook and the Twitter. Hey, can I get a lesson? Can you sneak me in here? And, finally we'll be able to schedule everybody, starting this week and next week. So it's been busy. PGA Junior League's allowed to come back now, so we can compete in the Youngstown League. About half of our league didn't play last year, sat it out with the COVID. We were one of the teams that, with the restrictions, sat it out as well. So, it's nice to be able to get back to somewhat semblance of normalcy. Golf outing still in a little issue with the seating capacities, 10 to a table, 6 feet apart. So that's going to make it tough out of the gate. But I think hopefully close to Memorial Day or the first week in June, I think we'll be back to normal on full scale. Knock on wood. Hopefully everybody continues to get the vaccines and continues to do the right thing and take care of themselves to keep everybody safe. And hopefully we'll be off and running. But we're ready. It's been a long time, and I was just thinking the other day, Stacey and myself haven't given a golf lesson in like 16 or 18 months, which is unheard of. Which I've never went that long of a stretch without giving somebody a lesson or doing a junior camp or a clinic. So it's nice to be able to have those things back, and it's nice for the public to be able to do something other than play golf. Not that we don't want them on the golf course, because we want everybody possible out playing, but it's nice to get on the paddle boats. It's nice to go out and kayak. It's nice to go use the deck hockey and play in an adult league up there, or beach volleyball or tennis, or just going to a concert on the lawn at the Morley is pretty spectacular. So, to have all of those back is certainly something as a staff we're super excited about.
Now that lessons are officially greenlit, can you lay out how to go about booking that, and what the best way to go about that is for the people listening?
Well, it's twofold. You can either call here at the Pro Shop at 330-740-7112, or you can shoot us an email. And our emails are pretty simple. It's Brian at millcreekmetroparks.org or Stacy at millcreekmetroparks.org. We do have a new assistant this year that'll be helping with the teaching and the programming. His name is Ryan, so it follows suit as well, Ryan at millcreekmetroparks.org. So it's exciting to be able to reach out and start that, and it's an easy way to do that. Like I said, it's been off the charts. We've been trying to hold everybody off until this meeting was over, and we were hopeful that they were going to make a decision to open up, and we come out with a phase plan. All outdoor activities started on Tuesday at 8 a.m. Indoor activities with limited capacities based on what the CDC puts out will start on May 1, and then all outdoor pavilion rentals will start on the 7th. So, that's super exciting. The boathouses will open up on their normal time, Memorial Day weekend, and run through Labor Day weekend. And then the splash pad at the Wick Recreation area will reopen Memorial Day weekend as well. And then June starts our concert lineup for June, July, and August. So, it's a great time to be at the Metro Parks, and it's a great time to finally bring you something other, than just self-aware recreation. So, to be able to go out there and sign up for a program or a dance class, or, be able to go on a trolley ride. Now, those aren't up and running yet, but they will be shortly. is exciting. And then getting the education programming back and all the other fun stuff that we do at the Metro Parks. But, golf lessons are simple. You just call here at the Pro Shop or shoot us an email, and we accommodate your schedule the best we can on, what your work schedule is and what's going on during the week.
Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek, our guest at this time every Wednesday on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Brian, the Masters now have come and gone, and Hideki Matsuyama, what can you say about this young man? He hung on for dear life. Schauffele was the first to blink in the back nine, and Matsuyama, I don't think he has to touch another golf club the rest of his life because the endorsements that he is going to pick up in a crazy sports country like Japan. I have heard that his endorsements are nearing $1 billion.
You know what? I'm certainly not surprised. He certainly has carried that entire country. His, little over 10-year career on the PGA Tour. It started, as an amateur at Augusta and being the low amateur there in 2011. What he was able to do, the past couple Masters, he's played, fairly solid there. Just hadn't got over the hump to win, but has won a number of tour events since then. So, having the repetition and the number of rounds there certainly helps. And like any Masters tournament, at about 4 o'clock on Sunday, when the guys are starting to make the turn, that's when the tournament begins. He made some hiccups coming down the stretch, bogeyed, I think 15 and 16 or 14 and 15, one of those two, back to back. Did enough to win, hung on there. Xander gave him a run with birdie in like 4 or 5 holes in a row before he rinsed it on hole 16. But it could have been a shootout if he doesn't hit it in the water on 16. There's no doubt about it. Like being able to catch him, and Hideki was losing oil at that point. But it just gives you the epitome of what the Masters is. It's that pressure coming down the stretch. You still have to hit good shots, no matter if you're up by 7, up by 6. I mean, you look what happened to Greg Norman back in 1996. Jordan Spieth was another a couple years ago by knocking it in the water, making 8. A big number is looking at you on every single hole, not only with the water and the hazards and the trouble that are lurking around, but just how the greens are very tough to two-putt if you're not hitting your irons good and you just hit greens on the wrong side. It's tough to get it up and down when you're chipping. So to be able to do what Hideki did is phenomenal. Couldn't be more happy for him, and you're right. He's deserving of every dollar that he gets. Jumbo Ozaki was the only other Japanese player that I can recall in my lifetime, and that was like 70s, early 80s, that did a lot. He gave it a run a couple times at the Masters, just couldn't get it done. But to see what Hideki did, and to be able to hang on and hang in there and pull off a green jacket is phenomenal. He's worthy of every penny. He'll be carrying the torch at the start of the Olympics, and he's got a green jacket, so it's phenomenal. It's great for the game of golf as a whole. If you look at the population as a whole, only 8% of what's on the world in the United States plays golf. So Asia is probably, any of the Asian countries are the biggest and fastest growth inhibitors to the game of golf. So, with his victory, it's going to catapult them even more, and I hope that translates into more golf here in the United States. So, I'm all for growing the game and, being diverse everywhere that you can and bringing, many people to the table and welcoming everybody of every background. And I think that his victory is certainly going to allow the game of golf to explode even more, like it did when Tiger Woods hit the scene in 1996, 1997. I mean, that was our biggest boom in golf. With exception of this past year with the COVID and everybody else coming back into the game. So it's exciting, and it's exciting for him and, Japan.
Me and Ron were talking earlier about the differences that the Japanese baseball has compared to what you watch in America and the differences in the game. So I'm wondering, the course designs in Japan and in Asian countries, do they kind of differ from the American designs, or are there differences in the courses over there that either make them, harder or easier in the courses that they put on over there in Japan and other Asian countries?
To be honest with you, they're very similar to what you see here. Right now, they can't build golf courses in Japan and in China fast enough for the growth factor that they have. A lot of them are using American designers. A lot of guys are going overseas. Jack Nicklaus has a number of courses overseas. I believe Tiger has one going overseas right now. Not sure what the status is with that, obviously, with him being on the shelf. But, I mean, a number of tour players have gotten commissioned and contracted, some site work over there to build and design golf courses and label it, with their name. It's like how golf was in the 90s and early 2000s with the boom of building all of these facilities. As the U.S., sort of hit the wall with the recession around 2008, a lot of that went away here. But, with the population that's overseas and over in Japan and the growth, you can pretty much, as a golf pro, name your rate. I mean, they will buy you a house over there, give you a $75,000 signing bonus today to go over there and be an instructor somewhere or be a director of golf or a head professional beyond just the salary, just because they don't have enough to keep up with the demand that they have, which is phenomenal for the game of golf. And, they're designed to, what you see on television here on a weekend basis.
Brian Tolnar from Mill Creek, our guest. All right, Brian, this week we go to Hilton Head, South Carolina, an absolutely gorgeous coastal community that is near the South Carolina-Georgia border. It is the RBC. This is the week after the Masters, and surprisingly enough, there are some guys that have decided to take part in this tournament. Some pretty big hitters are in this tournament as well. Let's talk a little bit about the RBC minus the curly fries.
Well, the RBC has been around for a number of years. It's over 50 years old. I think this is the 53rd or 54th event. Playing another course that we've talked about, a lot from a course designer's perspective. It's a Pete Dye design. And I want to say we played probably about 6 or 7 different Pete Dye designs already, and it's not even May. So we've gotten to see what he has to design from a layout standpoint. His greens are always tough, no different than what you're going to see there this week. Great community for golf. Talk about the number of years that they've held this tournament. They've raised $45 million for charity between South Carolina, the Hilton Head area, and the Savannah, Georgia area, because Savannah is about 15, 20 minutes away. They have 1,200 volunteers every week at this tournament, which is probably the largest volunteer base of all PGA Tour events. Just an iconic place. Number of legends have won there. Jack Nicklaus has won there. Arnold Palmer won the first one. Johnny Miller, Tom Watson, Payne Stewart. Has a laundry list of great players. Generally held the week after the Masters, so a lot of players will stay. And Darius Rucker holds what they call Monday after the Masters. It's a big concert. He does it for the players, the caddies, the families, and stuff, where they raise money for charity. A lot of players stick around for that, which in turn boomerangs into a lot of players sticking around for the RBC Heritage down at Sea Pines in Hilton Head. One of the few venues that I've gotten to play at the PGA Tour plays, and it's just a fun golf course to play. I've got some family down in that area. My parents have a place down there for the winter. We get to go down there for Christmas over the holidays every year, so it's a fun spot that our family really enjoys, and we got to learn about and have been going down there for 20-plus years. So it's my second job from here. It's going to be after I retire from Mill Creek. That's where I'm going to end up, somewhere on that island, either teaching or helping out in some golf shop. But in my end of destination, that's exactly where I want to be. The weather's spectacular. The food down there is fabulous, and the facilities and the 32-plus golf courses that are on the island are just spectacular. But going back to the course, it comes down to positioning, especially off the tee. The greens are extremely tough. It favors good iron play. Got a lot of overhanging tree branches that, really make you have to position it well off the tee to give yourself the right angles in. And typical Pete Dye, they're what we call quadrant greens. They're like 4 greens in one, where you have to hit it to a certain area. If you hit it to the wrong area, you have a lot of trouble being able to 2-putt it or get it close. So, the players, it's not a premium this week to be very lengthy off the tee. Everybody in the field can reach the 3 par 5s that are on the golf course this week. The par 3s are all over 200 yards. They play extremely tough. And then they've got 8 par 4s that are over 450 yards. So not only do you have to hit it accurately, you don't have to necessarily bomb it, but you have to hit it to the right angle because there's a lot of dog legs and a lot of holes that go around corners or bends that you have to work or shape the ball a little bit. But, it's tight quarters off the tee, but if you can, challenge yourself well and hit good tee shots there, gives you the opportunity to hit a lot of greens. And I think the player that has his iron game, firing on all cylinders, certainly has a huge advantage this week, more so over the guy that bombs it, which is not usually the case on the PGA Tour. And history, really tells you that with the guys that have won. T.C. Chen, Webb Simpson, Wesley Bryant, Jim Furyk, Matt Kuchar, Graham McDowell are guys that don't necessarily bomb it off the tee, but they hit it straight, and they don't hit it very far, but they hit it in position. So I think you'll see a lot of that coming from the guys this week. Tee shots being accurate, and then good solid iron shots into the green are certainly going to give you a huge advantage going into the weekend.
Really interested to hear your Power 5 this week because there are, a little bit of a mix of a couple of household names and then a couple of players that maybe aren't household names when you look at the top of the odds list. So what's your Power 5 and who are some sleepers for this week?
Well, I think this week's going to be a little bit different, not the powerhouse lineup that we had at a Masters or a major championship or a Players' Championship, but a lot of guys that have had a good, successful history at Harbour Town, I think, are in the top 5 this week. So, guys like number 5 this week is going to come in at Siwoo Kim. Obviously broke his putter at the Masters last week and putted well with a hybrid. Got the job done, had a pretty good performance, all despite a broken putter. So I think he's one of those guys, doesn't necessarily bomb it off the tee. It's a lot of fairways, very accurate, will give himself in great position to hit a lot of shots into the green. Corey Connors, another guy who played great last week, Kent State graduate, very accurate off the tee, and is a very good ball striker from an iron to green position. So I expect Corey, obviously, a little past winner on the PGA Tour, to get another shot at victory. Going with the 19 champion CP Pan. Golf course is built for him. He's accurate, like Siwoo Kim, not very lengthy off the tee, but do a lot of damage with the irons and can position it well to give themselves a lot of 10 and 15 footers of birdie. So he's on 3 spot this week. Number 2, another past champion. So there's going to be a lot of repetition in the top 5 with past champions this week. Webb Simpson's going to be our number 2 spot. Won there in 2020, coming off his best year on the PGA Tour last year. Just from around the corner in North Carolina, he knows the area well. He plays on those grasses and practices on those types of grasses. Being that he lives in North Carolina, I think Harbour Town's a great fit for his game. And in our number 1 spot this week, a guy that didn't necessarily play well at the Masters, but played well in the final round, Matt Kuchar. He beat Luke Donald in 2014, coming down the stretch by a shot. Always plays well at Hilton Head, brings the family there. Him and Sibby and the kids are close. They live at St. Simon Islands in Georgia, so it's not too far from home. And he's got probably 2 or 3 runner-up finishes there, as well as his victory there in 14. So, it's great to see him play well. A couple sleepers this week: Brandt Snedeker, Luke Donald, and Dustin Johnson. Dustin Johnson, just because he's Dustin Johnson, you got to put him in there, and he's the number 1 ranked player in the event. Luke Donald, past champion, 4-time runner-up. He's got 12 top 10s there. Good tee to green, iron, tee shot, ball striker. So I think he'll be in the mix. And Snedeker, another past champion as well, good iron player. Very streaky putter. If he's putting well, I expect him to be a force to notch a top 5 or a top 10 finish as well.
Man, I got to tell you that those are great picks. I liked Webb Simpson. That was the one that I was about to pick. But then, I've had a feeling that this is one of the weeks where I could go down a little bit in the odds list and kind of pick someone I was having a good feeling about. So this week I wrote down Paul Casey to win, 28-1 odds. What say you about Mr. Casey and his chances to win this weekend?
And Casey at the bat, Casey with a 5 club in his hand or a 5 wood in his hand.
Hopefully he doesn't strike out.
And yeah, hopefully he doesn't.
Well, Casey had a good run at the Masters. Played good on Sunday coming down the stretch. Certainly a veteran and could play well there. If he's hitting the ball as good as he did last week at Augusta at the Masters, I think he's a formidable champion.
Okay, I have Patrick Cantlay winning this thing.
Cantlay's a very popular pick. He's been up and down a little bit. He certainly has the game to win it. It's just a matter of if he's going to drive the ball accurately, which is really what you need to get off to a good start down there. So if he drives it well, he's certainly a contender, and certainly can be one of those guys that you talk about on Sunday, being in that mix of players. I think another player, coming off a hot streak, and he's been coming off a hot streak for about a 6-month period. Will Zalatoris. I mean, what he did at the Masters with finishing solo second, he's got an opportunity to come back there next year, and he's played probably better golf than anybody on the PGA Tour, and he's a non-exempt player. However, I think with this finish there, I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of him on the leaderboard, not just at Monday qualifiers trying to get into the event. From a Korn Ferry Guy tour that played satellite tours in addition to the Korn Ferry, where he's had some success. He's really spent a lot of time practicing and playing well, and I think he could be in there as well.
Hey, Brian, but before we get into your tip of the week, Webb Simpson won the RBC last year at 22 under par. Was this the result of it being played at a separate time of the year, or is it doable for a golfer to go 20-plus under par in this tournament?
Well, based on the time that they played this last year, they were a lot later than they are in the spring. So the golf course is going to play a little bit different down there, and that was one of the things that I looked at. Generally you're looking at anywhere between 12 and 15 under historically wins this event, with exception of the 22 under that he posted. The old tournament record was set in 2009 by Brian Gay when he shot 20 under. Webb blew that right out of the doors with 2 more shots on top of it. I don't think you'll see guys scoring that low because the ground down there is not running firm and fast as it was when it was played later in the fall when the season restarted. But I think that probably anywhere between 13, 14, or 15 under is probably a good number this week. And I wouldn't go by the 22 under last year because I think that was sort of an anomaly.
What I'm sure Ron wants to know what score you really think this will end on. Because
no, I already got it at 14.
You got it at 14.
I got Cantlay winning this thing at 14 under par, and I chose my guys based on his top 5. So we're in good shape.
Ron's in good shape. Since Ron's in good shape, why don't we hear your tip of the week, week 2 for season 2?
You got it. Last week we really concentrated on getting your game, getting your body in check, hitting balls on the driving range, and being prepared, to prevent some injury, number one, but just to really crawl your way back into the golf swing. So, one of the things that we want to talk about this week is, we concentrated on short game, 50 yards and in, 100 yards and in last week. We want to continue that trend. We're going to go with putting this week. So we're going to talk a little bit about green reading, a little bit briefly, but we're going to go in more in-depth in green reading later. Just putting, the technique, the setup, and so on down the line. So when you start the season, you're starting it very fundamentally sound. So, from a green reading perspective, I tell everybody, every green's like a paper plate. If you dump it upside down and you lift one end up, every green has a tilt front to back or left to right or right to left, but it's the same plate. So you're always going to have that straight up and down putt. One's going to be up the hill, one's going to be down the hill. You're going to have the side-to-side putts where you've got right to left and left to right. On every single hole that you putt, no matter what golf course that you're on, you're going to have those same exact looks. So it's a matter of finding the putt that goes straight. Easy way to do that from a green rating perspective is if you walk up to the hole, you'll see all the grass that's growing always lays down to where the water runs off. So that's going to be your slope. So where the water would run off, you're going to notice a couple things. Number one, the top side of the cup is always going to have the grass going smoothly into the cup, almost like it's curling in on the top side. And the second thing you're going to notice is the bottom side of the cup. It's going to be chewed up a little bit because that grass is always going to go towards the bottom. So on the bottom side, it really doesn't lay on the bottom because it's chipped up on the bottom. So that's going to tell you the lowest point. So that would be, if you're on the bottom, you're going to be putting uphill if you're underneath that. If you're on the top, you're going to be putting downhill, down grain, as opposed to into the grain on the bottom. So, you know, the top putt's certainly going to be a lot faster because it's a lot faster when you're going down grain than when you're putting into it. And then your right to left will be on there. It's kind of like reading a compass, too, and it's something that we use as an analogy when we do our clinics and camps and our junior stuff. But green reading is certainly important, you know, making sure you line up the right way. But from a putting perspective, we want to make sure that you're set up properly right out of the gate as we start the season in 2021. So first thing you want to do is you want to make sure your stance is shoulder width apart. You want to favor your weight on your front foot. So we'll try to describe these, you know, as I'm teaching a golfer, and it doesn't matter if you're right or left-handed. Your front foot is always going to favor a little bit more weight, probably about 60% of the weight, which is called your target foot. So if you're right-handed or left-handed, you're going to adjust that to yourself. You want to make sure that your arms and shoulders together create a triangle. We're going to use that triangle, and we want to think of a grandfather clock that you would see at your grandmother's house or a relative's house that goes back and forth at a nice pace, tick-tock, tick-tock. You want to basically emulate that in your putter stroke, where the putter is straight down. You want that putter to go back and forth, arms and shoulders, just moving that triangle. What we're trying to do is we're keeping the arms and shoulders moving, and we're not trying to move our wrist. The more that we move our wrist, the club face has the tendency of working its way up quicker. The ball's going to skid, the ball's going to hop, or if your hands shake a little bit, the club face may open or the club face may close. So very important, very vital that we're using our arms and shoulders and we're not using our hands and our wrists in the stroke. So if you do that, the ball's going to come off rolling end over end towards your target. So your arms and shoulders are going to come back, straight through. Acceleration, especially early on in the season, is the key to putting well the entire season. You know, if the tempo and the timing's not there and we're decelerating into the golf ball, again, that's another way to cause the golf ball to hop. As soon as it hops, bounces, or skids, it has a tendency of jumping offline 2 to 3 inches, which is the equivalent of being able to miss a putt. So we want to make sure that our acceleration is key. Nice slow takeaway, just like that arm of that clock would go back. Nice acceleration through as the arm of that clock would go through. What we're trying to eliminate is the club face stopping at the ball or shortly after it makes contact with the ball. Just let your hands go forward, back, and through. And I think if you do that, your tempo is going to be great out of the gate. Your top hand of your putter grip is always going to be on the target line that you're hitting. So if I'm aiming 6 or 8 inches to the right of the hole, thinking that the putt's going to break left, the top of that left hand is going 6 or 8 inches to the right of that hole. So we're holding that line, we're putting it on that line. And I think some drills that you can do to complement this is, you know, we talk about the compass drill, north, south, east, and west. Hit putts from all directions in those 4 spots. So you have that straight putt downhill, you have a straight putt uphill, you have the left to right, and you have the right to lefter. So that's going to help you with direction. A good drill for speed is what we call the ladder drill, and that's basically taking 5 or 6 golf balls, putting it on the bottom, that south putt where you're putting straight up the hill, line 5 or 6 golf balls up about a foot apart, starting from about 1.5 feet away, and the next one would be 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, and putt those in succession. So you're doing the short one first, taking a step back, and going through the whole rotation. What this will allow you to do is allow you to get the speed of the green. You know, obviously, at the beginning of the year, the greens aren't as quickly as they are in June, July, or August because the ground's not as dry. The grass is not, you know, as closely mowed. It's damp. It's cool. The soil's still wet in that aspect of it. So you want to make sure, depending on what golf courses that you play, that you really know the speed of the greens. It varies with every golf course here in the Mahoning Valley and every part of the country that you play in. So it's important to make sure that you gauge the speed correctly. So I think if you do both of those drills, you know, really concentrate and put some emphasis on 3 and 5 foot putts, you know, just like we did last week with 50-yard shots and 100-yard shots and what I call the scoring irons, where you're working with your wedges, your 9, your 8 iron, you know, just to get your skills down and get your timing and tempo down. You know, same goes for putting. We want to make sure that we're solid in that 3 to 5, even 10-footer range. give yourself some opportunities. And, you know, with it ever possible, you want to make sure your alignment's proper too, that your, you know, feet, knees, hips, and shoulders are all parallel to the target line that you're putting on. So if it's straight at the hole, everything's going straight at the hole. If it's a putt that breaks 2 feet to the right, you know, you're adjusting for it. So it's, you know, very important to put the time and effort into practice. You know, there's nothing that can be taught from a golf instruction perspective that we talk about from feel, and that's the feel of reps and just feeling the golf ball coming off the club face, you know, rolling off that putter face and giving yourself some opportunity. Chipping and putting are the hardest to teach from a PGA professional's perspective. It's all feel, it's all touch, and those are the things that you need to do from a practice perspective to learn those and tighten up those skills. So it's great thrills and great things to start out of the gate. As we slowly crawl into the golf season here, you know, being, you know, 2 to 3, maybe 4 weeks into the golf season.
Brian, always a pleasure to hear the tips. And like I said last week, I don't think I went golfing last year because I was so darn busy. This year, I definitely want to get on the course. And as you mentioned last week, you simply don't want to jump into golfing without at least taking your clubs out and going to the driving range or going to the par 3 course or just doing some practice before you get out on the golf course. You want to certainly get yourself ready to play golf by practicing before you actually go out and play golf.
Absolutely. If we can prevent a early season injury, you're going to have a long, fun spring, summer, and fall. I've seen it before, and I've seen it a zillion times where guys are just, they jar their back at some point, beginning of the year, just getting the clubs out of the car, you know, from, you know, not doing too much exercise or rotation or any drills at home during the off season. You know, you just tweak the back, and then all of a sudden, come June, it hurts more. July, it hurts more, and then you want to put them on the shelf. So, you know, that's really what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to get everybody to gradually, you know, get into the game. So maybe it's 9 holes instead of 18 right out of the gate. Or, you know, if you get guys that travel and play 36 holes, maybe it's playing 18 holes to just walk yourself and crawl yourself into the game. For me, it's always been hitting golf balls, play yourself into shape, and chipping putt, and find that feel, find that touch around the greens, you know, before you want to go out. I mean, it's, first of all, it's going to be less stressful because you have some feel before you go out and play, and it doesn't feel foreign to you when you're out there. And, you know, last week we talked a little bit about depth perception. You know, you're standing at the 150 after not looking at a target from 150 yards. Sometimes it'll look like it's 100, and other times it'll look like it's 200 yards just because you're not used to, you know, your eyes' visualization of seeing the target and seeing that depth. And you know, it's just the little simple things that really help you improve out of the gate that'll make your golf season more fun if you do things the right way and in the right order. And building your golf swing slowly is certainly an important part of that.
I want to get Ron on a miniature putt-putt course for a YSN special. Trying to get him to get past the windmill course. Windmill
there
hole.
You go.
Time it, Ron.
You're going to die, clown! Yeah, that timing is everything. I'm going to hit the windmill, and then I'm going to lose my marbles and throw the club at the windmill.
You're gonna have Anthony stand on the windmill and hold the blades for you so you can get it through the hole.
Oh,
all right, Ron,
okay, whatever.
Come on, put it in.
Whatever, I can do it.
How close? Speaking of Happy Gilmore, how close does Will Zalatorius look like Happy Gilmore's caddy?
He looks he looks exactly like him. That's a good call on your part, Brian. That's
wow.
That's a sensational call.
Spot on, skinny as a rail.
Tell him to wear some ratty clothing, and then I think we got something.
I don't know how he gets so much power into his swing with his front.
He's 110 pounds soaking wet. It's all body rotation, working around your spine, tempo and timing, and he's a perfect example of that. I mean, for a guy that's 110 pounds to hit at 330, it's solid.
All I know is my dad watches him and immediately gets depressed because he can hit it so far, and my dad's probably got 100 pounds on him and can't hit it nearly as far as him. So he goes, "What the heck am I doing?"
Just don't be like his caddy and mark the ball with a Tristan Crasher.
Oh Lord, it's my whole thing is trying to get the club way back because I got no flexibility whatsoever.
Brian, did you see? I think it was on Thursday. Someone was in the bunker. I forget who it was, and they went back and reviewed it the day after to see that his club barely touched the sand on his backswing, and they took a stroke off of his score because they reviewed it the day after. Talk about that rule in the bunker real quick and what happened on that play and why it's so important to not touch the sand before you touch the ball.
Well, anytime you touch the sand in the bunker, it's called improving your lie. Whether you move one fragment, one little piece of sand that's probably as big as a pinhead, it's tough to see. In this case, the rule change was obviously got penalized for touching the sand. But normally in that scenario, you would get disqualified because you signed for an incorrect score. Well, the new rule change, which I think is a good rule change, is when the person signed for that score and he didn't acknowledge doing that, you're not penalizing him for a score that he didn't know that he made a rules infraction. Because if the players know that they make a rules infraction, they're very good about calling it on themselves. Or their caddy will let them know. And in this case, it's television. Television's, it's either good or it's bad. When they're zooming in, they can slow it down, and you see one fine bristle of sand move, which in this case, that was the scenario. I had a hard time, to be honest with you, to see where it moved. But, he took it like a champ and said, hey, it did. It took a penalty, but in that scenario, you would normally get disqualified. So I'm glad to see that they lifted that, but it's tough when you're that close. I mean, a lot of times if you're in the rough standing over the ball may be oscillating a little bit, or if it's sitting up, it's hard to tell. And the camera can see a ball moving, a dimple, just slightly, and then, they want to say, oh, yeah, he could help the lie and, better the position that he was in. It wasn't that the player was trying to do that. Number one, it's too hard for the eye to catch, even though the cameras are pretty much on you 24/7. If there's anybody going to catch you, it's that. I know people in the past have called in on certain rulings and gotten folks disqualified. So what they tried to do was they weren't doing that on purpose, trying to make it right. They did get a penalty for it, but didn't get disqualified. So, there's a fine line when you walk, with some of that stuff, and it's very costly. There's no doubt about it. It could cost you from winning a tournament. It could cost you for making a cut. Cost you hundreds of $1,000s if you move, down one or two spots based on the severity of the penalty, for sure.
Brian, is there a time period where, or has it already started, where replay is starting to change the game of golf, and not for the better?
Well, it started, I want to say, at a U.S. Open in around 1999 to 2000, where people would call in and say, hey, I saw this, or I think I saw that, and they would go look at it and make a judgment after the fact, after the tournament was over, or after a round was over, which I think is unfair to the player, number one. And with the technology that you have, I mean, just think of what you have for the NFL, the instant replay. They have that times 1,000 for the PGA Tour because it's harder to focus in on the little white ball than it is a football and an end zone line and a end zone pylon. So I think it hasn't been damaging yet. The one that I recall was Dustin Johnson, although the scenario was a little bit different there. That one, you did see a little bit of sand move. He didn't see it. I mean, it's not something as a player you're certainly not looking at the sand moving when you're standing over it or standing behind it because you're focusing in on the golf ball. But the camera obviously doesn't lie, and it's been damning to some people so far. But I don't think it's been a major issue. I think it's more of an issue at the NFL level. Did he not fumble the ball making a football move, and you get into so much gray area that it makes it tough. But I don't think golf has gotten it there yet, although the technology has gotten them there for sure. But I think they may have been a little bit more lenient on it. But, at the end of the day, the tournament wants to get it right. The tournament committee, the rules committee wants to get it right. The player wants to get it right, just the way that our game is with honesty and integrity. So to each his own. I mean, some people have an opinion different than whatever. I mean, what did we do before this stuff happened? Golf's been around for 200 years. Baseball's been around for 200 years. There's a little bit of umpire error or official error that comes into play with anything in life. And it's just a matter of trying to avoid those situations and those scenarios the best that you can. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But technology is certainly good and bad. There's no doubt.
And it's got to be rough to play a whole round, come back the next day and be like, yeah, we reviewed the tape, and you moved about a grain of sand on the 8th hole yesterday, so we're going to take a stroke off your score.
Literally. And that's, you're darned if you do, you're darned if you don't. And, as a player, they used to tell you that, like, if they're doing that review and you're on hole 12, they'll come out to you on 15 and say, oh, yeah, you moved this back there and whatever. Now they actually wait till the round's done to do that, which I think is more fair, because then you're in the player's head the last 3 holes. Oh, did I move something? Did I accidentally do something? You know what I mean? And then they butcher a series of another couple holes. But after the round's over, it's, when you sign your card, you're signing your card on, this is the score that I thought I made, and I didn't try to screw anybody. I didn't try to cheat the system. And there's where it got a little bit better. They get a penalty, he's still allowed to play, as opposed to being disqualified because he didn't know he moved something back there and wasn't allowed to fix the error that he didn't know about. So, like I said, it's a very fine line that you walk, but the technology and what you see from a camera's position and the worm cam that they have on putts where you can see a ball roll or ball position when you're marking it, if it moves a dimple and the player doesn't see it, the ball moves. It's not in the same spot that you took it out of play to put it back in. So, I mean, there's so many fine lines with golf compared to other sports where I think it can be more damaging, especially for the money that they play for, too.
Brian, before we let you go, Jason Kokrak, the goal last week in your mind was make the cut. He did. Struggled on Saturday and Sunday for sure. And it's just, as you've mentioned, it's about trying to play the course and getting more familiar with the course the more often you play at Augusta. Hopefully, Jason will get another opportunity next year, and a lot of it is going to be depending on if he wins a PGA event or finishes in the top 30 in the money list or in the FedEx list before the end of the year. But clearly, it was a better performance this year than last fall, where he didn't make the cut last fall. So, baby steps, but progress for Kokrak over the weekend.
Certainly. I certainly think Jason did what he needed to do, made the cut, and that was kind of the bar that we set for him. He had a couple good rounds and made some birdies. I think he could have been up a little bit higher than he finished, but all in all, I would be pleased if I was him with the finish. I mean, it's only the second time he played there. And November's conditions compared to April's conditions at Augusta are very, very different. So he's seen the golf course the way it normally would play. I mean, the greens were extremely fast. If he left it on the wrong side of the hole, it was a tough up and down. It was tough to putt, and I think he played well. He made a bunch of birdies, just made a couple bigger mistakes with some doubles and some bogeys in there. But, a lot of players in that field did. I mean, you look at, we talked about Phil a little bit last week, making a bunch of birdies and a bunch of bogeys, and played a very similar style game. If you could eliminate half the bogeys next time, you're looking at a top 15, top 20 finish, and eliminate a couple bad rounds on the weekend. You're looking at a top 10 finish. So I think he did what he needed to do. I think he'll gain some momentum out of it, and obviously getting a number more of reps under his belt from November to this point in the season in April, and heading into where he's headed from a scheduling standpoint. I think you'll see a lot more good things from Jason's game to come.
Brian, always a pleasure. We look forward to catching up with you next week, brother.
You got it. Have a great week, guys. Thank you.
See ya. Brian Tolnar, he runs Mill Creek, and he's our golfing guru. And I didn't ask for his opinion. I just based his opinion was based on what I came up with on my golf picks this week.
All right, so you have Cantley, right?
I have Cantley winning this at 14 under.
I didn't write it down. Who did Brian pick?
Hang on a second. He's in my He's in my he's in my pick. Hang on a second. He had Kuchar, didn't he?
Yeah, you're right. He did because he had Dustin Johnson as his.
Yeah, he had Kuchar.
I like Brian picking this Georgia Tech guy all the time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Yeah. I have Cantlay winning this thing at 14 under.
Cantlay, I think was 16 to 1 odds.
Yeah, 14 or 16 to 1, something like that. So, I mean, there's a lot of Skittles out there. Certainly an awful lot of Skittles.
16 to 1 for Cantlay.
Okay, so at 16 to 1, if you bet $100, you wind up getting 1,600. If you were to bet 100 Skittles on Cantlay and he wound up winning, he would get you 1,600 Skittles.
My guy Casey is 28 to 1, and Kuchar is 50 to 1.
Kuchar is 50 to 1?
50 to 1.
And our guy Brian Tolnar is picking a guy 50 to 1?
He's going for the Skittles.
Holy smokes. You think maybe if we legally put some Skittles down on these three guys, if we were to pull our money together and legally put Skittles down on these three guys, that maybe one of them would win and we would be Skittle happy?
We'd be tasting the rainbow for
we
sure.
would, yeah, we would be tasting a lot of rainbows that weekend, yeah.
Dustin Johnson's the favorite at 10 to 1, then Webb Simpson, then Patrick Cantlay.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens.
Dustin Johnson, I was going to pick him, and I'm like, he really hasn't golfed all that well. But he has such a great iron game. You never know if he's going to show up. So that's I chose Cantlay instead of him.
Couldn't let Brian go without breaking down that play at the bunker. I know. I think it's crazy that you can go a whole day and then the next morning, not even after your round, but the next morning when you're ready to go for your second round, they can come up to you and be like, we reviewed the tape, and you moved like a grain of salt, and we're going to dock you a score. Good luck today, though.
We're going to have to.
Like, there should be a time frame on that review.
Yeah.
If we don't catch it the whole after.
What's the movie where the guy with the glasses is always telling his people to work?
Space?
Yeah. The guy, you can just see the guy from Office Space go,
if you could move that stapler, that'd be great.
Yeah. We're going to take a stroke off your game yesterday. You
you
moved
could
a
just-
grain of sand. If you could stop doing that, that would be great.
Thank you.
You
Best
just-
scene in that
you just-
movie is when they're
you just
beating
want to slap the crap out of them.
The best scene in that movie is when they're beating up the printer. You know, with the baseball.
Oh,
bat.
yeah.
He pulls them away, lets them go.
Yeah, I could just see the Manook from Office Space doing that. We're gonna have to
talk you a couple of shots
for what happened yesterday.
Yeah, if you could stop doing that'd be great. That'd be great.
330-886-0813. We get
very underrated comedy.
It is.
Office Space.
It is very, very underrated.
It's kind of like the movie version of The Office before The Office even happened. Making fun of all these quirks in the office, jokes.
I got to be honest. I saw some episodes of The Office.
It's an acquired taste.
I don't get it. It was
The
okay.
The Office is one of those shows that I get the feeling that people either love or they just don't understand. They don't laugh at it. Kind of like Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Either people think Seinfeld is funny or they're sitting there like.
I have a couple of friends
There's no one in the middle of Seinfeld that's like, yeah, I enjoy it, but it's not great.
I had a couple of friends that sat back and said the first two seasons were horrible.
Oh, they were.
And I kind of agree that Seinfeld never hit its sweet spot until season 3 or season 4. But once it did, oh my God, was it good?
I can't laugh at Seinfeld. I've tried, I've watched it, but it's just not my meh.
All right.
Meh.
Meh.
Nah.
All right. I see. I feel that same way about The Office. I'm like,
yeah, right.
I mean, it's okay, but yeah.
See, I think Parks and Rec is better than The Office, and I know a lot of people will slap me because of it. But
honestly, I agree with you.
Was hilarious.
Parks and Rec was an underrated comedy. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Nick Offerman in that show was just one of the comedy gold mines as Ron Swanson.
Yeah. Yeah, 30 Rock was another one that was completely underrated.
I didn't like 30 Rock.
No? Well, again, I thought it was completely underrated. So, all right, 330-886-0813. We're talking TV instead of
we
sports
always
here.
fit in pop culture.
We do. You are correct, sir. You are correct. Yeah, we have to fit in a little bit of pop culture along the way. Our poll question: what do you prefer, or what do you rather watch as a baseball fan? A slugfest or a good old-fashioned pitcher's duel? Hit us up on the MT Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline.
The love of the baseball small G gods. Don't be one of those Goldilocks people that's like, well, I would really like it if the offense is there, but the pitchers aren't playing horrible, and it's like a 4-3 game or maybe 5-4. That's my perfect baseball. You're like one of those people that's not happy unless it's 60 degrees on the dot, and if it's higher, it's too hot, and if it's lower, it's too cold. Guess what, people? Goldilocks got eaten in the end of the original story. So don't be a Goldilocks, or you'll get eaten by a family of bears.
Bravo, sir. Bravo.
This concludes my TED Talk.
Oh, man. You telling bedtime stories to kids? No, not going to happen.
I read The Grim Adventures of Cinderella, where the...
I can just see you where you're going to go, and if you do this, you're going to get eaten by the bears. Okay, good talk. Have a good night's sleep. See ya. Yeah, because that kid's going to go to bed at night and go, oh, yeah, I'm going to sleep well. Yeah, Uncle Anthony just told me I'm going to get eaten by bears, but I'm going to sleep like a baby tonight.
There are no monsters in that closet, but I'll tell you what.
Oh, God.
There's a lot of other things that could happen to you while you're sleeping. There's no monsters in the closet, I promise you that.
Nope.
But there is natural gas in the stove.
Jesus. All right, the Steelers have brought back veteran linebacker Vince Williams.
You know what also I just saw? The Steelers signed a 1-year contract to Josh Dobbs. So
yes,
bringing their backup quarterback back for another year.
So the backup to the backup.
Backup to the backup, trying to keep their quarterback depth. So
And oh, by the way, they got another quarterback when they picked up the former Ohio State guy.
Right, Dwayne Haskins.
So now they got 4 quarterbacks.
Which is kind of like, what?
Yeah. So you got Roethlisberger, and then you got Mason Rudolph, Dobbs, and
Haskins.
And Haskins all battling to see who gets the backup job.
Dobbs and Haskins are kind of cut from the same mold, so I don't know why you want both of them on the roster, but we'll see.
I think Rudolph is better than the other two. It's not even close, actually, but I mean, we'll find out what happens with the Steelers, but obviously they're going to want to put
options wait over.
Well, they're going to want to put Roethlisberger in formaldehyde because they don't want him to. They don't want him to to die or anything like that, or retire because
You went dark. I don't think anyone expects him to die.
No, I mean, I'm just saying,
we don't want you to die.
Football career. I'm not talking about the person.
Ben, if you could not die this offseason, that would be great.
330-886-0813. Jesus. All right, we're back after this timeout. Stick around.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-2333 3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. If you're in the market for a brand new or slightly used automobile, do yourself a favor, do your wallet a favor, and head over to Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. After all, they have three things that you are looking for as a car owner or a car buyer. Number one, they got a great sales department that will not sell you a lemon. Number two, they got a great finance department that's not going to charge you an arm, a leg, your firstborn, and maybe your secondborn as far as interest rates are concerned. And reason number three, if you happen to dent your baby or let's say you back into something or the tires need rotated, the oil needs changed, the service department is number one. So before you put pen to paper and sign your next 6 to 7 years away, do yourself a favor, head over to Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown as Mr. Anthony is holding our
It's
koozie.
all about product placement.
Indeed. Not a koozie. What is that again?
It's a Yeti.
Yeti. Yeah, I get Yeti, koozie, tomato,
Koozie is what you put
vegetable.
cans in to keep them from
Okay. Yeah. Yeti, not a koozie.
Oh.
It's a Yeti.
It's a Yeti. It's a giant snow animal, and a koozie's like a little tiny. Don't you be disrespecting a Yeti like that.
No. I would never do that.
Never do that.
I would never do that. Yetis do a much better job of keeping things hot and cold than koozies. Koozies are just some nice, wonderful thing that, I have a Bill's koozie. So if I have an adult beverage, slide the adult beverage down and everyone sees, oh, you got a Bill's koozie. I'm like, yeah, that's,
Which is
repping my team.
You have to have an adult beverage if you're a Bills fan. It's a requirement.
Well, this is true. Yeah, this is very true, and especially now that if you don't get into the stadium because you aren't vaccinated and you don't have proof of vaccination, well, you're going to probably need to have a lot of adult beverages.
The fans, it's all right. We'll just hang out here and jump on some more tables.
Yeah, there you go. I wonder now that this rule has been put down by the Bills, if this expands to their tailgate lot. Because I got to believe...
It's probably everything on their property.
Yeah, because I got to believe...
I would imagine.
If you can't show the proper papers... which sounds Gestapo-ish.
Oh my gosh, it really does.
It does sound Gestapo-ish. But if you can't provide the proof that you have been vaccinated, one would think that you're probably not going to be allowed to go over in the tailgate lot and jump through tables and all that other stuff that Bill's Mafia does.
Show me your papers. Oh, jeez. This is the world we live in.
Listen, I called this a month ago. I said that when everyone gets vaccinated, you're going to need this because you're going to have to show this in order to get into places. And I will continue to say this is team number one. By the beginning of the NFL season, the NFL is going to have a mandate in all 32 stadiums that this is what you got. You better show your papers that you have been vaccinated, or you ain't going to be going into the stadium.
Now, right now, everyone's not cleared to schedule vaccinations yet, right? There are still people that are on the waiting list to be okay. You can go now.
Oh, I'm on a waiting list. I think Friday I get my first shot.
Yeah, but you're able to register. But there are still people that haven't been told like, hey, you can register.
Yeah, I think where we are, and it's a state by state thing. I think Ohio finally has 16 and over. You're allowed to be vaccinated now.
You can't make this rule until everyone's at least has the access to the vaccination, because then you're going to tell people that can't even make the choice to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
You can't come.
Well, I think this is honestly. I think this is going in lockstep. Another Gestapo term. Boy, this is really frightening. It's in lockstep with what President Biden has said. Yeah.
Can you stop it right now?
Well, no. I'm just saying it's President Biden had sat back and said, "Hey, everyone's going to get vaccinated by a certain point in time." Okay. Now, I don't think they realized that Johnson & Johnson kind of had to pull their stuff
because,
out. 6 people and 7 million doses. Come on. But now, having said that, that was going to be my thing. So I had to scramble and called someone that had Pfizer. So I'll get my first shot Friday morning, second shot 3 weeks from Friday morning. So if I happen to grow a second head on Running Point,
then that would be awesome for content.
Then I think it would be awesome for content, as you said, and I think everything would be great.
If Ron turns green, we will not cancel the show. We're going to show it.
And we'll invite people to call in and talk about it on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline. Yeah. Oh, Lord. We did not, speaking of talking, we did not talk enough, nor I don't think we talked at all, about a really good game that was played at Fitch last night. You talk about a nice pitcher's duel that broke out. Howland getting a run in the bottom of the third inning, and that was it. They beat Fitch last night 1-0. I believe that is Austintown's first loss in baseball. Howland is a good baseball team. They've been under the radar an awful lot, but they're not bad.
In game one, they pitched pretty well. They just gave up a big sixth inning. I mean, going into the sixth, it was 2-0 Fitch, I believe. So they were pitching really well in game one even. They just let the floodgates open a little bit in the late innings, and that kind of when you're down 6-0 to Fitch, there's nothing you can do. In one, I mean, you're not going to score 7 against that pitching staff.
No. But Howland was able to do a real nice job, and Austin Price, 6 punch outs, 2 walks, complete game, 6-hit shutout, not too shabby.
Nope, and that splits the season series with that. And I believe that's the conference opener for Fitch, too.
No, they played Boardman twice.
Oh, they
beat him twice.
It was the conference opener for the softball team.
Yes.
Fitch swept Howland, by the way.
Yeah, so Fitch is 2-1 baseball-wise. Howland picks up their victory over Fitch.
Softball team beat Howland 23-8.
Yeah. And, that is a woof. Lydia Spalding, no walks, 4 punch outs. Look, I mean, they scored 8 runs in the first inning.
She only had to throw 4 innings.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was they jumped on Howland in the top of the first inning for 8 runs. The ball game is pretty much in tow. Although give Howland some credit, they were down 11-0 going into the bottom of the third inning. They scored 6 times in the bottom of the third to make it 11-6, made it 11-7 after 4 innings, and then Fitch scored 12 runs, outscoring Howland 12-1 in the final 2 innings.
That's what you call a crooked inning.
Yeah, a lot of interesting softball. So the Falcons go to 6-1. The baseball team, I believe, drops to 7-1 on the campaign.
Today's going to be a big day, especially in the 88 with South Ranch Poland playing each other again and Hubbard and Girard playing each other again. How those 2 games go might be a clear decider of who's going to kind of put their head out in the 88 because, like I said in the top of the show, Poland beat South Ranch tonight again. Then they're in the driver's seat in the 88. So.
Yeah, I think this is and look. I mean, if South Range beats Poland and Hubbard knocks off Girard, now we're talking a free for all.
It's a log jam.
Yeah,
and both teams have to play Hubbard, And Hubbard will control their own destiny, really, if they're tied with those teams going into those games.
And we said that don't underestimate Hubbard, because this is a team that could very well play themselves into a NE8 championship if they can control Poland and South Range and split with both of them. They have a pretty good shot at being a serious contender.
They opened my eyes last week when they pushed Boardman to the final out and then got walked off by a RBI double. And then they swept a doubleheader at West Branch to beat the Warriors twice. That was one of the indicators where I saw, okay, now Howland's for real. They're going to be in this conversation. And unfortunately, right after they got upset by Girard, but they're still in this conversation. They just have to stay away from games like that where they get the benefactor of losing to a team that's below them.
We really haven't brought up very often how good this Ursuline softball team is. They're 9-0.
And they're all run rolls.
Yeah. Elena Francis. Well, not Elena Francis. Paige Ogden. I'm reading Mooney's box score. Jesus. Paige Ogden, 6 strikeouts, no walks, gives up 2 hits. And Ursuline, it was 1-0 going into the bottom of the 4th inning. Ursuline explodes for 7 runs.
Plus, Ogden hit the ball pretty well too.
Yeah, she hit a home run, drove in 3, 2 hits on the evening. Barbado with 3 hits. Alyssa Sheely with 2 hits. This team can not only put up a string of hits together, but this team pitches incredibly well. Ursuline is going to be a big-time player in the tournaments this year.
They got depth in the circle. They got depth in their lineup. They play really solid defense. It's going to be really – I'm excited because tomorrow they play Champion. So that'll be a fun one down at Youngstown State. I'll be that one calling that game. But they've tested themselves. They play a huge schedule. They're going to play South Range before the end of the year. They're going to play Champion. They're going to play Boardman. They've already played Lisbon, who's been pretty impressive. And Newton, taking care of Newton Falls, 10-0. I mean, I'm impressed. I think they have all the pieces to make a deep tournament run. I wouldn't be surprised if they even went and ran past the region and made it to Firestone Stadium for a state tournament. They're that good. They're good enough for me to say they can contend in a state tournament.
You know, and I'm taking a look right now as to where Ursuline is in terms of their division, because I'm looking at Division 2 right now, and I do not see Ursuline in Division 2. So if this is another team that is in Division 3,
they're in 3.
Holy smokes! Are we talking some serious? Division 3 tournament.
And it's going to be interesting to see what teams decide to, because you imagine that the top 3 are probably going to, when it comes down to it, are probably going to be South Range or Ursuline Champion, depending on how the rest of the season goes for them in Division 3. It'll be interesting to see, because you can't avoid both of them. It'll be interesting to see what teams will go where and how that super district kind of plays itself out.
Well, and we're going to be going to the north. You know, Mooney's Division 3 as well. So we're going to be going to the north in our districts. So in Division 3, the same old with basketball. We're going to be doing the same thing with softball. Are there some Division 3 teams to the north that may very well be, other than Champion, that may very well be, hey, this could be a really rough road here?
Rootstown is pretty good. Garfield has a great record, but we already saw them play South Range and kind of not be at that level. South Range beat them 11-0. But Garfield's going to have a pretty high seed because they're sitting at 7-3 right now, and they're leading that conference. So I think Garfield, Rootstown are the 2 teams from a little bit up north that I would watch for coming into that district.
Mooney and Ursuline are both Division 3 in softball. And again, Mooney got a victory over Canton Central Catholic. They're undefeated as well.
And
Mooney's
I have
4-0 on the campaign.
Let's see, they haven't played a lot of games, but I do have Mooney tonight at Field of the Dreams. They're going to be hosting Mineral Ridge. So tune into that one on ysnlive.com.
Yeah, Elena Francis, 12 strikeouts, 2 walks. We're going to start writing some names down in terms of who's going to be where. But this Division 3 tournament is going to be absolutely bananas.
Makes me really excited for the Holy War on the softball diamond.
Oh my gosh!
Whenever it pops up on the
screen. Because combined, they're an impressive 13-0 right now. It don't get much better than that. I'm surprised that Mooney's only been able to play 4 games to this point this year. Did they have some scheduling problems?
They must have. Because that's the only explanation that you have. I know I was scheduled to do a game last week. They got rained out, so they probably also had to deal with some weather, just like everybody else does. So I'm excited to see them live tonight and see what they bring to the table against, a very talented and young Mineral Ridge team. So it'll be interesting to see how that game unfolds.
Yeah, I'm excited as all get outs come tournament time. But we got a ways to go before the tournaments. But now knowing where these teams lie, D2 and D3 is going to be off the hook crazy. We're going to take a timeout. Be back with more. It is a Wednesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Rude gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Rude, and so should you.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset.
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer goes the extra mile to bring you the largest selection of vehicles at one convenient location. With guaranteed credit approval, I will find you the right vehicle and the right financing options for you. I am ready to go the extra mile to show you why no other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Welcome back to a Wednesday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hardwig. And I'm looking at the softball division stuff, and Canfield is Division 2. The Division 1 teams in softball this year, Fitch, Harding, Boardman, and Howland. Canfield is Division 2. The two parochial schools, Mooney and Ursuline, are Division 3, and you have pretty much the regular holdovers that are Division 4. Southern's D4. Every once in a while they bounce around between D4 and D3. They're D4. Western Reserve is D4. McDonald, Wellsville, Matthews is D4. I'm looking to see, I believe Springfield is D3 this year. As I'm trucking down the D4 list, Jackson Milton is D4. Lowville's D4. Lisbon's D4. Yeah. I don't see Springfield as a D4 team, so they're going to be D3. Yeah. Sebring is D4.
You already said
Latonia is. Warren JFK is D4. McDonald is D4. Bloomfield is D4.
Bristol?
Yep, Bristol is D4. Yeah. So Springfield is D3. So you get Springfield, Columbiana, Palestine, United, Crestview, Mooney, Ursuline, South Range, Champion. That is a seriously rugged tournament.
If it goes chalk, imagine like a district semifinal of South Range champion Ursuline Mooney. I mean, my word.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, if they're going to be the same, it's going to go the same way.
Right.
How many teams are going to say, "Oh, I don't want any part of the two parochial schools"? And does let's say
but if you don't want any part in those, then you have to have part in Champion. And does Champion have more fear in them just because of their pedigree? Even though their record's not going to be what it was the last 3 years, they're not that Champion.
Yeah, but still Champion's not going to be afraid of anybody.
Still very good, but they're not we're not going to give up a run through the whole tournament good anymore. I mean, they don't have the D1 pitchers anymore. Are people still going to be kind of like, man, I don't want to play Champion because of who Champion is and because of what their pedigree is and because how storied they are in the tournament and how much they know how to win the tournament? Or are they going to rather be more scared of Ursuline, Mooney, and South Range? Be interesting.
Well, I mean, this year, let's say that Ursuline continues this ride and they get the number 1 seed. Okay, does Mooney stay away from Ursuline? Do they want to go to the other bracket and say, okay, we're going to take our opportunities to try to win the other bracket? And you know, we made mention of Champion. Okay, Champion isn't the great Champion teams that we've seen, but they're still capable of. And I guarantee getting out of this whole thing.
I guarantee there's going to be a switch that gets turned on when the tournament comes.
Oh, absolutely.
From Cheryl Weaver and that team because they just know how to win. The standard is there, and I guarantee no matter what their record is at the end of the year, when tournament time comes up, there's going to be a little switch that gets turned on in Champion, and they're going to be really tough to beat out of that tournament.
Now I'm looking at Crestview. All right, Crestview plays Champion 2 times because they're in the same league. Depending on what they do against Champion would pretty much determine where I believe they would go.
That's going to be an interesting matchup because I would give Crestview the advantage in the circle, but I think I would give Champion the advantage in the lineup.
When was the last time we sat back and gave anyone an advantage other than Champion in the circle? I mean, that's...
But by that time, that might be different because, like I said, these Champion pitchers have never pitched at this level because they've been watching Allison Smith and Sophie Howell just do their thing.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, they're starting to find a little. If they sync up before that Crestview matchup, then you might just say, well, the circle's a draw and the lineup for Champion's a little bit better. So we don't know how these pitchers are going to develop. It's still really young in the season, and they might decide to hit their stride and really, get into sync as pitchers. Before that Crestview matchup pops up.
Do you think that the absence of spring sports in 2020 kind of allowed the rest of the softball field in Division III to significantly gain ground on the bully on the block called Champion?
I think it just worked out that way because Champion was so senior loaded in 2020. I mean, besides their 2 pitchers in Allison Smith and Sophie Howell, they had, I believe, 4 other seniors. I mean, I think there were 6 seniors on that team coming into that class. So they lost a big class in 2020. And some of the other really good teams in Division III didn't lose big senior classes. Ursuline didn't lose big senior classes. Moody didn't. South Range didn't. They have all their, stars kind of back. So it just kind of lined up where champions in this spot right now where experience-wise, these teams in Division III are ahead of them.
Yeah, D3 is going to be an interesting tournament. And like I said, we still have about a month of play yet before we even start going into.
But I still can't believe we're already a month into the season.
Yeah,
it's like, oh man,
it's pretty crazy how fast this thing goes. Mary Kay Cabot tweeting out about a minute ago. Jadeveon Clowney met with the members of the Cleveland media. He just signed a 1-year deal. Quoting Clowney, "I'm here to prove I can still dominate in this league. You'll see this year."
What do you mean still, Jadeveon?
You've never dominated in this league. What are you talking about?
Not as a pass rusher.
No, not as a pass rusher. Now, Clowney says that he can be the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. And he has heated Malik Jackson to come on board. He's not even the best defensive lineman right now on his team. Miles Garrett is. Okay, listen.
See, he's got the ego, and that doesn't help him.
Clowney is he's an interesting guy, and like I said,
he's a clown.
He is a nice piece to have against the run. He is. He's a nice piece to have against the run, but Jadeveon Clowney has never been a good, solid pass rusher.
I wish what I heard from him in that press conference was, "I'm coming to help the Browns win games." Why are you saying I'm going to be the defensive player of the year? And I get it, confidence in yourself should always be high, but there's a line between confidence in yourself and then having just a big head.
Too many I's in this sentence. I'm here to prove I can still dominate in this league.
I don't think it's going to work.
I'm with you. He should have said, I'm grateful the Browns have given me this opportunity. Let's go win some ball games.
Right. I mean,
and that's it. You don't have any eyes in this thing. You're not sounding selfish. And well, first of all, if you're the defensive player of the year, I'll eat a hat on the air if you're a defensive player of the year.
Now I'm rooting for it.
Stop that.
I want to see Ron Potesta eat a hat. If it's not covered in Lorna Dunes, he won't do it.
Look, he'll be a nice piece. He'll be a very nice piece. My guess is that he'll probably be injured before Game 5.
He needs to understand he's a piece, and he's not the piece.
No. He's not the guy.
A-piece.
He's going to be a guy that's going to help the guy get to the quarterback a little bit more. So it's
wild.
All this talk about, I'm going to be the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Get the heck out of here with that. You're not even the best player on the defensive line. I mean, I hate to say this, but this is a guy that has lived off of one hit in college football, and everyone in Ohio thinks he walks on water because he did it against friggin' Michigan. He's not that good of a player. He's nice against the run, but he's not going to get you 10 sacks, and he sure as hell isn't going to get you the Defensive Player of the Year. It's a nice signing. It's not a home run. And now, if you go out and you get Malik Jackson, I think he's a better signing than Jadeveon Clowney.
Go get Stephon Gilmore from the Patriots.
Go get Stephon Gilmore, and now we're talking here.
They want to get rid of him, so go call up the Patriots. And
I would say you go get Stephon Gilmore, and that is a way better signing than Jadeveon Clowney.
I mean, the Browns secondary was laughable.
Yeah. Go find me someone that can go opposite of Ward. And oh, by the way, keep Ward healthy because he's not exactly a pillar of strength. He's a China doll. You keep him healthy, go out and get Stephon Gilmore, and okay, now we have the makings of a really good defense here. But I mean, I'm not going to lose my marbles over. If you're a Browns fan, you shouldn't be losing your marbles over Jadeveon Clowney. He's average at best as a player. He's nice against the run. He's solid against the run. I'll give him that. He is solid against the run, but everything else, average at best. And he's a China doll. He hurts. He gets hurt too much. He only played in 8 games last year for Tennessee. Robbed Tennessee. They wound up paying him $14 million, $12 million
for 8 games.
For 8 games. Get out of here with that. And he reminds me of the previous defensive coordinator. Was the guy that wound up being the defensive coordinator for the Jets. Opens his mouth and starts talking shit all the time, and he can't back it up. That's Clowney, and basically, it's just you run your mouth. You don't have enough funds in your checking account to.
What's the old saying? Don't write a check with your mouth that your character can't back up.
Exactly.
And that's what he's doing.
I would be willing to bet Clowney doesn't even finish the season active.
Ooh, we're gonna have to have a poll. How long it takes Jadeveon Clowney to get hurt? Not that we'd ever root for somebody.
No, I don't want to root for that, but his past history would say that.
It's actually probably a bad idea. Let's not do that.
I mean, it's just I think it's a nice signing, but let's not go overboard here. Let's not go overboard. It's a nice signing, but it's not a signing that's going to make the Browns the best team in the AFC or the AFC. You can't even get past Baltimore yet. They still haven't beaten Baltimore. It's is this a good signing in the right direction? If he's healthy, it is.
He will help defend Lamar Jackson. I'll give him that.
Absolutely.
And that's probably one of the Browns' big. We have to find a way to beat the Ravens because we can split with this team, but we got to beat the Ravens. We got to beat the Ravens. So I think he'll really help with defending Lamar Jackson. And maybe they got him because they knew he would help defending Lamar Jackson.
Well, they better get another outside linebacker that can do the same thing because it's not you got to have more than just a defensive end. You got to seal with the outside linebacker as well. I mean, look, I think the Browns are solid in the middle, but I think the outside against the run, the outsides are terrible. Now, Clowney will help because, like I said, he's very good against the run. But if you're looking for him to sack the quarterback a dozen times, 10 times, that ain't happening. He's not that caliber of player anymore. I mean, Garrett will be the guy that gives you 10, 12, 13 sacks, but Clowney won't. He's not capable of that. He's capable of stopping the run, which I think is a solid sign from that perspective. But again, when's the last time Clowney had a whole season where he was lights out, crazy good, like he claims that he is right now?
If you can't do it with J.J. Watt on the other side of you, then you can't do it.
Exactly. That's one of the big reasons why I think this screams bust because he played alongside or on the other side of J.J. Watt, the best player other than Donald in football, the best defensive lineman other than Donald in football. You couldn't do anything opposite of J.J. Watt.
Although Aaron Donald didn't have a stellar year this year.
Yeah, but he
still
was
won Defensive Player of the Year, which I think was a name award this year because I think there were some other players that might have been more deserving.
I think T.J. Watt was more deserving.
I think T.J. Watt could have been like...
Yeah. I think T.J. probably should have been given a little bit more respect.
But the cachet of the name Aaron Donald kind of have some weight to it.
Yeah. Look, do I think that the gap is narrowed? A little bit. I don't think it's narrowed nearly as much as what some fans would think. You know, you still 0-2 against Baltimore last year. I know a lot of folks are sitting back saying, well, if we would have beaten Kansas City, we would have gone to the Super Bowl. Get the hell out of here with that. Buffalo would have destroyed Cleveland in the AFC title game. Buffalo played Kansas City differently because you got to play a different kind of a defense against Kansas City because they got so many damn weapons. Against Cleveland, you think Buffalo would have played the same caliber of defense against Cleveland? Please, they'd have put 8 guys on the line and said, Nick Chubb ain't beating us. your quarterback is going to have to beat us. And Baker Mayfield is 2-8 or 2-9 all time when the Browns have 100 yards, or when the Browns have less than 100 yards in a game. Baker Mayfield has won 2 games in his NFL career. He's beaten the Cincinnati Bengals and he's beaten the New York Jets. Not exactly great names when it comes to beating quality teams. Where on the other side of the spectrum, Josh Allen is 7-10, and he went 2-1 in the postseason. He beat Indianapolis with no running game. He beat Baltimore with no running game. And, well, he couldn't beat Kansas City with no running game because Kansas City is that much better. So it is what it is.
But to be fair to that stat, Buffalo didn't have a running game to speak of.
Oh, my God. They're terrible at the run. They're terrible. In Miami last year, Breda. Yeah, and who knows? Maybe Breda becomes...
They'll never be a team that runs a lot, but they have to do more than Singletary did for them.
Oh, my God, absolutely. They definitely need that, and they need a pass rush as well, because...
You could use some.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you need a little bit of depth in receiver. My opinion.
Well, they did pick up some pretty decent pieces in the offseason.
But I mean, like coming into this offseason, you needed more than Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, and they've addressed that
because Beasley left, right?
Beasley's
still there.
Beasley's still there. John Brown left.
Yeah,
John Brown left, and I'll be curious where I believe he's in Oakland. I almost said Oakland. He's in Las Vegas, which I think is a great spot for him.
I was really surprised how quick Sammy Watkins got signed after the Chiefs let him go.
Sammy Watkins
because he can make you plays, but man, is he not just like Clowney? He doesn't stay on the field.
No.
I mean, he missed our whole postseason.
When Buffalo originally drafted him, I thought, oh man, this is going to be unbelievable, and
we don't win the Super Bowl without him.
No,
but at the same time, we had to go through the whole postseason this year without him.
Yeah,
so it's like he's a risk. He's a risk.
He is a high risk. I agree with that, and he's Baltimore's problem now.
He's big for Baltimore. It gives him a downfield weapon.
If he's healthy,
he stays healthy.
If he's healthy, Baltimore becomes a really dangerous football team. If he's healthy, but. The fact that when was the last time Sammy Watkins has played a full year without getting...
Even in our Super Bowl year, he missed like the first chunk of the season.
Yeah. He can't stay healthy. And I think that, I like the signing by Baltimore. I really do. But then I looked at this and I was like, there's going to come a point in time where he's going to miss at least 4 games.
It wasn't
a cheap
contract. It wasn't a cheap 1-year contract.
Oh, no.
So I was like... Glad we dodged that bullet.
Yeah, exactly. and it's the same thing with the Browns. Signing Clowney to this 1-year deal. I'll be curious to see how much they signed him for. But like I said, Tennessee gave him $12 million last year and got 8 games, no sacks, and he was average against the run. That's not exactly, something that I would be excited about as a Browns fan. In 2021, you got to hope for a whole lot of things with Jadeveon Clowney in order for this guy to play anywhere close to what he's said in his press conference, saying, "I can be the defensive player of the year." I can date a supermodel too, Jadeveon, but it ain't happening. And a spoiler alert, it won't happen.
No, you can't.
I'm sure I can.
No, not
if she's blind.
No, because you'd still have to listen to you talk.
What exactly are you trying to tell me there? That's below the belt.
You have to be blind, deaf, and mute to date you as a supermodel.
So you're saying Helen Keller is my only hope?
As a supermodel.
All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. 330-886-0813.
You know what always bothered me?
Yes, sir.
They have all these quotes from Helen Keller, but she was mute. And blind and deaf, and it's like, who's
Well, you could translate in sign language,
right? But then it's like, if you're blind, how do you learn sign language?
Well, that's a good point.
you think about it.
Yeah,
It's like, how did she...
That's it.
I want to learn about Helen Keller and how she learned how to communicate, because, like, you can't learn sign language because you're blind. You can't hear language because you're deaf.
And you can't speak because you're mute. That's... Someone teaches her...
I'm gonna have to dive in.
That's an interesting question on that. Yeah, don't get me started with the jokes though. That's tasteless. We're not going to do that. Not on this program. Not on this program. Not on this program.
We keep it above the belt, unless it's
when the microphone is turned off. I will give you a joke that I'm guaranteed I will be in hell for eternity. With a Helen Keller joke.
Unless it's directed towards Ron, we stay above the
well,
belt.
yeah, that's then all jokes are ready to come on board. And it's not like I haven't heard any jokes with this thing. So,
Ron, the buffet called. They said you win.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you the growing up having a size of a noggin like this, you get all kinds of interesting people saying some interesting things. So I'd heard it all, and Pat Listash was managing the Jacks in 2006. So after a game, we're at a bar. And a lot of stories have this theme. Yeah, a lot of stories have this theme. We're in Mobile, Alabama, at a dive across the street from our hotel, Dietz, one of my favorite places, a redneck joint. So we're having some beers in Mobile, and he looks at me and he says, "God, GD, your head is really big." And I looked at him and I said, "Pat," I said, "I'm going to tell you right now, you cannot possibly put a line together that I haven't heard."
Oh, please do it.
He goes, "What's on the line for this?" I said, "I will buy you drinks the rest of the frickin' night if you can come up with something that I have never heard before." He looks at me dead-faced and he goes, "Your head's so big you got 3 dreams going on at the same time when you sleep." Son of a bitch! I gotta buy him drinks for the rest of the night.
Do you remember have you seen So I Married an Axe Murderer? The guy with the big head?
Yeah.
And he has a big pillow for his big heat?
Yeah.
That's
He looks at me and he goes, "Yeah, your head's so big you got 3 different dreams going on at the same time when you sleep at night." I'm like, that's a first.
What's the movie where the guy gets stung on the plane and it starts to swell up like huge, like it's stung by a bee and he's allergic, and the pilot's like, "You okay back there?" And he's like, "I'm fine," but he's got this huge head. "I'm fine."
Oh God.
Oh, pop culture.
Yeah, there you go. 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline, open for business.
If you want to call us, then God bless you.
Yeah, indeed. We'll preview the night on the network coming up in a bit. Stick around, more to come.
Your first and last stop with your tax return should be with me, Tracy Bryden at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. No other dealer sells more cars, finances more, and gets you more for your refund than Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience and comprehensive wealth strategy, we assist our clients attain their goals. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealthadvisors.com. Good luck, athletes.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy efficient experts.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Welcome back as we close up shop on this Wednesday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Ron Potesta with you alongside Anthony Hartwig. Before we get into the night on YSN and what games we are going to be broadcasting, some news that came down from the YSU men's basketball department a few hours ago that we did not talk about. Jameer Thomas is back for another year as he will take advantage of his extra year of eligibility. Jameer Thomas was out all year last year with a knee injury, so it'll be good to see Jameer Thomas back in the lineup. Let's get to the phone lines real quick. Rich, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline. What's up, brother?
How you doing, young man?
What's up, man?
Beautiful day in Ohio.
Yeah, buddy.
Got a question.
Yeah.
When does this league in Niles start, the rookie league?
6 weeks from tonight is the home opener for the Scrappers. 6 weeks from this past Monday, the season will start. The Scrappers will be in Morgantown, West Virginia, playing a 2-game series with the West Virginia Black Bears Monday and Tuesday, and then the 26th of May, they will be home at 7:05, fireworks after the game. State College Spikes are in town.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah,
Let me ask you, you're going to be at the helm now, right?
Yes, I'll be doing the home broadcast for YSNLive.com.
No broadcast other than home, correct?
Well, we will be carrying the road games. It's just I won't be doing the games.
It'll be simulcast.
Yeah, it'll be the broadcaster. The home broadcaster is going to be the broadcaster for both teams due to COVID.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when the Scrappers are on the road, starting 6 weeks from this past Monday, whoever's doing the broadcast for the West Virginia Black Bears will be the broadcaster that you hear on Monday and Tuesday, May 24th and 25th on YSNLive.com.
I'm looking forward to this, brother. It sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time, and I think it's going to be a really good brand of baseball.
I'm also thinking you're going to have a lot of attendance out there this year, too.
I hope so.
Well, you know, the price of Major League Ball tickets now because of reduced capacities and everything's going up. Parking went up. Concessions are out of the world. It's even more unaffordable for a family now. And your field offers a lot better value and good baseball.
No, I agree with you, and I think minor league baseball, when everything gets back to normal, I think minor league baseball, people are going to start going toward minor league ballparks because of the inexpensive compared to Major League Baseball. It's a lot more inexpensive to go to a minor league game.
Okay, this is a professional question. How do you prepare for to take the mic and be as good as you are? You have to know the players' names, numbers, et cetera, any kind of history. Does all that go into the mix?
Oh, absolutely. And reading game notes and just studying the players and all that other stuff. Yeah, it's a process. It's a cool process.
Cool.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
I mean, if that's what you want to call it. I don't think it's not work for me. I'm always excited when I'm getting ready to do a broadcast. To me, it's not work.
as the chief broadcaster there, will you be able to mingle with the players pregame or after game or whatever?
Yeah. And we'll have a player on in the pregame show. We will have an interview with a player in the pregame show. And Sundays we'll talk with Coco.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to this, bud.
All right, brother.
All right, have a great couple of days, fellas. Hey, my wife and I took a ride from Mill Creek Park from the very top to the very bottom, did both sides. What a beautiful day, and the flower gardens are like in full bloom.
Ah, man, I can't wait to run around that area.
Whoa.
Well, I'm going to try to run. For 100 yards before I have oxygen, you know.
Well, you mean jog over the trail. Anthony, I hope you know CPR.
Anthony is really wanting to get put on the IL after this game, after this day.
All right, guys, thanks for the invite. Have a great day.
I'll see you. I'm going to put super glue on your wheels.
Bring it on, old man.
Hey. Well, that's Mr. Old Man to you. What's going on the broadcast today?
So tonight, we'll start with softball, as we always do. Mooney hosting Middle Ridge from the Field of Dreams. I'll have the call there. And round 2 between Poland and South Range, this time from North Elementary School. It'll be Billy with the call on that one. As we move to the baseball diamond, Mooney hosting Cheney at Scene Park. That'll be Alec and Matt doing that game. Fitch hosting Lakeside. That'll be Ty Bartell calling that one. Poland hosting South Range. Brennan Miller will be down there for that one. Columbiana hosting Southern. Mark Franken, your buddy, calling that game.
I thought he did Heartland games.
I think he does kind of both.
Okay. There we go.
Heartland's not home.
By the way, we just answered a question in terms of where Heartland plays their home games.
Yeah,
They play them over at the ballpark in East Palestine.
Right.
See, I thought they played them at Columbiana at Firestone, but they play it at Palestine.
And then Ursuline and Salem will be on Scene 3, and Andy will have that one. So we have 5 baseball games and 2 softball games on the network tonight. Stories after, as always, recap stories. So stay tuned to ysnlive.com, and always you can go to ysnlive.com/live for a list of live games on the night, and they're all free.
Yeah,
thanks to our buddies at WRS.
Indeed, WRS Wealth Advisors. Many thanks. Many thanks for.
So we'll go back to our Japanese discussion and do the
yes
honorable bow.
Honorable bow. Did you see the honorable bow that
it always comes full circle here?
Matsuyama. They took a picture of him doing the bow on the 18th hole at Augusta.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That was cool. That was phenomenal. So it's congrats to him. That was spectacular. And again, his life is complete because he's got a ridiculous amount of money and endorsements now in Japan. So good for him. Good for him. Coming up on the show tomorrow, we have softball. We're softball-centric tomorrow
we have,
on the show.
Coach Cool from Western Reserve, and we're going to get back Coach Titus, who we missed last week from McDonald's, is going to call in. I believe 12:15 for Cool, and then 2 o'clock for Titus.
Have they played each other yet?
Western Reserve and McDonald? I don't believe so.
Okay.
They will eventually because they're in the
same league. Yeah. Same league, so it's this baseball and softball. You made mention of this. We're already a month in. This is crazy. It's going pretty quick.
That's why it's really shocking that Mooney's only played 4 games so far.
Yeah, they're
going to have a backloaded schedule.
Yeah, no doubts. They were able to get a victory over Canton Central Catholic yesterday, 5-3 in Canton, scoring 2 times.
That CCC team is always a monkey wrench.
Yeah. They scored 3 times in the top of the 7th inning. They were down 3-2 going into the top of the 7th. They scored 3 times. They get the victory over Tri-C 5-3. So
the games to watch tonight on the softball diamond, I think, are mine. Tune into my game because it's me.
Okay, Jadavian. I'm going to start calling you Jadavian.
I'm going to be the broadcaster of the year, no doubt. Defensive broadcaster of the year. And I want to prove that I can still be dominant in the broadcasting booth. So
there you go.
Poland, of course, with Billy, and then it's not on the network, but keep an eye on that Hubbard-Girard game as well.
Yeah, as we made mention, if Hubbard is able to beat Girard and South Range knocks off Poland tonight, then we're looking at a three-way tie for first place in the NEA.
Yeah.
So
with Poland and South Range both yet to play Hubbard.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to say the least. Josh Fields, before we get out of here, the Ohio State quarterback, he threw another pro day in front of San Francisco, Atlanta, and Carolina, among other teams. 49ers have the third pick, so I know that people have been saying Mac Jones, Alabama, he's the perfect fit. I don't know.
I think Justin Fields is going to San Francisco.
I think Fields could be a San Francisco 49er.
I think he's the perfect fit. I've said it before. I think read option quarterbacks fit well with Kyle Shanahan's offense, so I think he'll go to San Francisco.
I don't know if I personally wouldn't take him third because I don't trust his game.
It's what the game's turning into, is that kind of quarterback. You lose a little bit of accuracy, but you're okay with that, with the arm strength, the athleticism, and the ability to make plays on the fly. I mean, we see all the teams are starting to fall in love with these kind of quarterbacks. So Fields fits that mold, and hopefully, I'm just hoping he breaks the Ohio State mold of these quarterbacks that come out of Ohio State that can't do anything in the NFL.
That's true. Well, I mean, look, Mahomes broke the rule or broke the mold of Big 12 quarterbacks that can't do anything.
He did.
And then Baker Mayfield said, well, I'm going to finish throwing the whatever glass ceiling you broke. I'm going to finish breaking the rest of the ceiling. But Mahomes was the one that broke that ceiling.
Everyone was shocked that Mahomes was taken 10th, and they were like, Chiefs, what are you doing? And now they're all like, oh, Chiefs, you're so smart.
Yeah, and who'd they get that pick from? The Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills, thank you very much.
But Buffalo said, that's okay, we're going to get our quarterback, and they did a year later.
Who won that deal?
Look, I mean,
don't say
we wound up getting Edmonds. We wound up getting Edmonds in the corner, Tre'Davious White. I mean, granted, it's nowhere close to Patrick Mahomes, but we got our quarterback the next year, so I don't feel that bad. Had Josh Allen not played really well last year, I would have probably said, yeah, that's...
It wasn't as bad as passing up Michael Jordan, but you still kind of go, oh, we could add Mahomes. Do you ever lie awake at night thinking could have been us?
No.
Okay. I think where you go is just as important.
I think Portland is probably lying awake at night to this day, wondering how the hell they picked Bowie over Michael Jordan.
I've said it before. I think where someone goes is just as important as who they are. And I think as good as Patrick Mahomes is, he wouldn't have success if he didn't go to Kansas. Wouldn't have as much success.
Agreed.
If he didn't go to Kansas City, if he wasn't with Andy Reid, and he didn't spend a year under Alex Smith.
Agreed.
Because Alex Smith was one of the players that I think the biggest thing he taught Patrick Mahomes is how to take care of the football. Because I think Patrick Mahomes could have easily fallen into the Brett Favre syndrome where he makes all these throws, but he doesn't think about what throws he's making, and he doesn't think about ball protection. So I really think that where you go is just as important as how talented you are and where you can be.
100% agreement. And on that note, we're out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Power Hour is coming up next. We'll do it tomorrow, noon to 3. Going to talk some softball amongst other things. Have a great